from his studios in New York, it's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be here with you this morning, live from Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio, where the first four are taking on each other here inside of the NCAA Tournament. The official first day of the NCAA Tournament jumped off with number 16 seed Radford taking on fellow 16 seed LIU Brooklyn for the right to move forward and play Villanova, and Radford got that victory, followed by the number 11 seed St. Bonaventure taking on 11 UCLA for the right to play number 6 Florida, and St. Bonnies coming with the victory. We're going to get things started here with the morning menu, and we are college basketball all throughout the show.
Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern
Mike,
Time.
you're coming on
We
here
like to
in
start off the show by giving you our menu of topics. The morning menu, that is. Live now with the morning menu is Dan Tortora.
That is the morning menu right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. We are here this morning first and foremost with Mike Wheeler, OCC women's basketball head coach, as the team has moved on and moved forward into the postseason and is in the NJCAA Division III National Tournament right now, hoping to win a national championship. So much love and much appreciation to everything the OCC has done this season, as well as all that is to come. They will play their game on Thursday. So tomorrow, for those of you listening live, Thursday, March 15th, the first game that they'll have in the national tournament of the NJCAA Division III. And with that being said, we bring Mike into the show. Mike, how you doing today?
Hey, good morning, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and you're out in Chicago. You have these games in Illinois. Just what you can say about life out in Chicago and getting used to the hour difference. That little bit of it's kind of funny because we had to spring ahead and then you fall back at the same time. So how's everything been going out there?
Well, I think that's really what the big thing is. That's what the problem is with me. Is just you had the hour ahead just a couple days ago, and then you get the hour back. Headed back to Chicago with time zone difference. So, I think everybody's trying to get used to that for a little bit, and trying to explain. Some of the girls don't really understand the time zone difference, so I'm trying to explain that as we're flying out in the airport last night. So why are we at 7 o'clock and this is at 8 o'clock? So we got through the time zone lecture last night. It went over pretty well. So after that, we're back to business here and just getting ready to have team breakfast in the hotel this morning.
What can you say about the connection of this team and the camaraderie of this team? I mean, obviously, when you're away from home, you get to see that more so than any other time, so to speak, because you're in a new place and in a place that probably a lot of them have not been before. How does the team kind of come together, and how have you seen them, just build their connection to one another while you're on the road?
Well, just already, just traveling and the airport and stuff like that. It's a great team bonding experience. Anytime you get an opportunity to do something like this, and every one of these players have never been part of a regional title, any title period coming from high school or anything like that. So winning a regional title for them was above anything that they ever were able to achieve, and the opportunity for them to win a national title and getting here, you can see it's starting to set in, and the excitement to being here, and it's good to see, and I think it's great for us as a team as well.
Mike, when you have, and we've spoken about this, every season, speaking here with Mike Wheeler, OCC women's basketball head coach, the fact that, when you're trying to win a national championship, when you're trying to win regionals and so on and so forth in different tournaments and whatnot, and then game to game in the regular season, you only have 2 years with these players. You have half the amount of time. You don't have the 4 years, and at the JUCO level, when they're a freshman, they got to be playing like they're going into their junior year, and then when they're a sophomore, it's got to be like, hey, we're a senior, and we know what we're doing at this point. Just, speeding up the process, so to speak, and how, obviously you found a way to be very successful with it, but, it takes one thing for a coach to find success with their team over any span of time. It takes another thing to cut that time in half and find success, and just what you could say about living in that environment.
Well, I think it's, when I first started coaching JUCO, I didn't you had to get comfortable with the concept of having these kids for 2 years and they were gone. And it took a little bit because, I was doing coaching in high school prior to coaching in college, and I saw the kids for 3-4 years as they start, maybe 8th, 9th grade at the JV level, but at least you get to see them for 4 years, and you're coming through your program at that time. So the transition to JUCO was tough in the beginning with the program because you're getting them for 2 years and they're gone. You just get comfortable with them. But we adapted to it as a program. And you develop them as a freshman, and the players that are coming in out of high school right now, they're already developed basketball players ready to step on the floor to play in college, which has been a real benefit for us in our program where we can get them right in and start in our system. And then what's been great for us is after they're done here for 2 years, that the transfer to a 4-year institution has been great, and a 4-year school to play has even been better because these 4-year schools have taken these sophomores and now bringing them into their program, and they have players that have already experienced what it's like to play in big games, to play in regional finals, to play in national championships. So it gives them that experience that they already have, and these 4-year schools actually really enjoy recruiting our kids when they leave us here.
That coming from Mike Wheeler, OCC Lazers women's basketball head coach. Mike, just what you could say about this season up to this point, and just where the team is at, what the team has accomplished, and where this team is going. You're in the Division III women's basketball championship, which is happening at Rock Valley College in Rockford, Illinois. And, to take a look at, there's a bunch of different teams in here. There's Rowan Gloucester, the 8th seed, taking on number 1 seeded Rock Valley. There's number 4 seeded Montgomery, taking on number 5 Northland. There is number 3 Yukon Avery Point, taking on number 6 Rochester. And then, of course, you are the 7th seed, taking on Hostos, and the number 2 seed. And that is, obviously the team that you're facing is a team that is no stranger. So just what you could say about this tournament and just, these 8 teams fighting for this Division III national championship.
Well, Dan, what's really what we're excited for is an opportunity to revenge a loss, and we've revenged a lot of losses this season. We lost in the conference semifinals to TC3, and we rebounded with a quarterfinal win in regional play against TC3 3 days later. And then we went to Finger Lakes to play the regional final, and we lost to them twice in the year, and we beat them on their home floor to go to a regional final, and then, beating Columbia Green in the final. So the opportunity to play Hostos, a 2 seed in the first round of the tournament, is really, I think for us it's a good matchup. We like the matchup, we like the draw, just because of the opportunity that we have to, that we've already played them. And we've been breaking down the game film that we had earlier in the year, and you get game film on all the other games that they played, just the last regional final of all the teams. So you get an opportunity for us. It's better. We got 2 games to look at to see what we did and what we didn't do. And then you look at all the other teams in here. These are 5 out of the 8 teams are normal irregulars in this tournament. The Northland's been a national champion. Rock Valley won the national championship the last 4 out of 6, 7 years. You got Hostos is fairly new. Gloucester is new. But 5 out of the 8 are regulars. So it's great to come here and have an opportunity to revenge a loss from earlier in the year. But this is really when it counts. And I think the girls are focused on that too. The girls are playing with confidence. And for us, winning a regional tournament as a 4 seed, where we were 1-2 for the last 8 to 10 years coming into the regional tournament. Now we win the regional tournament as a 4 seed, and now we're a 7 seed in the national tournament. I think for us, we're playing the best basketball right now that we can possibly play, and that's where you want to be playing your best basketball. And as a 7 seed, there's not a lot of pressure on you. You got to go out and play, and we're going to play a team that we know, and we lost it by 6 points earlier in the year. And I think confidence-wise, the kids are ready. They're ready to go.
And when you look at that it's not only the national tournament, but it's an opportunity, like you said, to avenge a loss, and that has been the season for you, is the season of avenging and having the opportunity to see somebody again. Just despite the fact that you lost to them, it's not like you're watching game film on them in general. You're watching your game film on them and what you did in that game, that 92-85 loss that you had in the OCC Classic. So when you go back and you look at it, what did you see in that game? What kind of stood out to you about that little bit of separation, that just few possessions of separation that they had on you?
Well, they're a fast-paced team. They press you full court. They go end to end with you, and that's what we like. We enjoy playing that fast. I mean, we like to play fast, score a lot of points, and get out and run. And I mean, they're very, very similar. The difference is they press. We're not a press-oriented team. We like to press off our defense, whether we're going to play some man or our zone. We're going to look to trap. We're going to look to try and get some turnovers and some runouts that way. But it's exciting basketball that we were right there. And the fact that we play very similar style basketball with them, I think it's going to be a very entertaining basketball game to watch.
That coming from Mike Wheeler, OCC Lazers head coach for the women's basketball team. Mike, just what you could say before I let you go about the appreciation that you have for this moment and of this team. Like you had said to me before, you sat down with the young women on your team and wanted to know if they wanted it. Did they want to go further? Did they want to win? And you kind of stood back and let them show you what they wanted out of the rest of their season. Just what you could say about what this season has become, what these young women have become, and when you gave them that moment to choose, that they chose wisely, so to speak.
Well, it all goes back to, the talk we had after the conference tournament. I told you earlier that anybody likes to win the championship, and a conference title is something special as well. We won 10 straight going into this past season, and then to lose in the conference semis was tough for us. And I thought at that time, there was a little bit more for us that we needed. Coming into the year, we talked as a staff that we thought we had a really great, solid team that could make a run at this. But I said midway through, 3 quarters through the year, we struggled with each other. I thought we struggled with, where we struggled as an identity as a basketball team. And that was a concern for us. And I thought it really came to head when we lost that semifinal conference game back 3 or 4 weeks ago. And that was something we looked ourselves in the eye and said, listen, I told you we could pack up, go home, and call it a day, or we can come back next week and play the same team that we just lost to tonight and go through a tough regional tournament and win and head to Chicago. And that's where I talked about the championship. Asked them in the locker room, how many of you have won a championship of any sort? And not one person rose their hand in the room. They didn't. I didn't see one hand go up. And I said, here's an opportunity. I said, to do something special. And I said, now it's on you. I said, you got to come out and play. And I said, by now we know what we're doing offensively, and we know what we do defensively. We know what we have to do to win basketball games. Now you have to go out and do that as a basketball team. We as a staff can't go out and do it for you. Believe me, I love playing the game. I'd love to go out and do it for you, but I can't, and you have to do it. And, I closed the door that night and left them in the locker room. And, from there on, it's been a special run. And I'm happy for them that they have this opportunity, and I think they're real excited and happy for themselves as well.
You get excited to get to this point. You get excited for this opportunity, the excitement to move forward. Did you see this in the team at the beginning of the season? I mean, is this something that, I know hindsight's 20/20, but where you are right now and, being in Chicago and knowing that you have this big-time opportunity coming up in this tournament in the hopes of winning a Division III championship in the NJCAA, did you see the inner makings of this as the season was going on, or has this just kind of story been written day by day, moment by moment?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, I thought early in the season and preseason and when we started early practice in October, I thought we had the potential to be very good. And, the place we struggled at was our guards. We were perimeter. We struggled in the perimeter, period. And we couldn't shoot the basketball well. But our guards could play defense and do a lot of other things for us offensively. But in our eyes as a staff, I thought we had probably the two best post players in the country, with Samantha Britton and Sydney Ure. So having two of the best post players in the country, you need some guards to step up and help out. And I thought that was our identity problem early. We just didn't have anything. What started early, I thought we did. I thought we had some kids step up. We had some, Peyton Oler and Shannon Fale and Michaela Whiteman and Rachel Scalisi that's been huge for us. And we just needed someone to step up. No one really ever did it in the guard position. And I thought it went through the Christmas break. We went to Maryland, and we still, we win some games. And then we lost one on the road in Maryland that we should have won against a basketball team that wasn't better than us. And, I think we started questioning things. And then when you start questioning things, I think you don't play with confidence. And we finally turned the corner. What we thought, we won 5 or 6 in a row going into the conference tournament at the end of the year. And I thought we were in a good spot. And, that loss in the I think that loss, whether you always talk about bad losses, but I thought it was a great loss for us in the conference tournament. And, they were upset, but they weren't upset that they really lost the semifinals, because after I left the room, I just felt like that really is what turned it around for them, and they started to focus on what the future held for us the following week. And I think that's really what the surprising factor is. I talked to you earlier about letting the kids, put it in their hands. And, this is their time. If they wanted to do this, they were the ones that were going to do it, and they did.
And, and just them wanting it and having that desire to go after it and push for it. I mean, this is something where, these young women had to, you're going up against good teams every single night. The farther you go, the more you're going to be pushed to the brink. And like you said, are there good losses, bad losses, this, that, and the other thing? But you considered that a good loss. You considered them to learn, this story of OCC. Before I let you go, Mike, every single year I feel like you're writing another chapter that I want to go back and read. Could this be one of the most exciting chapters to read in the book of OCC women's basketball?
Well, it could be, and it's the fact that we're here and now we have an opportunity. And I think just getting that opportunity and what we've been through as a basketball team in the last couple of weeks, that identity is starting to come around and show itself in who we are. And I think they're starting to realize that they can play. And they just won a Region 3 tournament title that we've been 3 years in a 3-year drought. And, for the program to get back here, I think for them in the spot that they're in, it gives them a great deal of confidence right now, and it could be a very special run starting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern time for us, and we're excited for that.
That coming from Mike Wheeler, OCC Lazers women's basketball head coach. Mike, as always, I appreciate it. I know you say that Bill Motto is always threatening to leave, but hopefully he'll stay throughout this tournament.
Yeah, Coach always drops those lines throughout the year because he likes to. He knows I'm real comfortable with him right there, and it's been a great run for the both of us together. You know, we've been to three national championship tournaments together, and this being our third. And he always at the end he's look at his face, and I says, "Yeah, you having fun still?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm having fun. I just don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to come back next year." I said, "Do you like this a lot?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, why did you say that then? Because you're always going to come back. So I don't know why you say that."
Yeah, well, you got to keep him around. That's for sure. You got to, because there's something about him and you together that just seems to be a workable commodity. And how are the boys doing? Are the boys on the road with you? They back at home? What are they doing?
No, the boys are back home. They got school, and my wife's a school teacher back home at home, and so they actually, I guess Syracuse got hit with some snow this morning, and the boys are off. But my wife has still got school. She's a Syracuse City school teacher, so they have class today. And the boys are home, and I've been FaceTiming them when I got here. And it's tough. That's the tough thing is being on the road. I'm away from them, but it's great the technology these days that you can FaceTime and see what they're doing. I'm gonna go ahead. How
many things have they broken since you've been gone?
It's funny. We moved into the new house 2 weeks ago, and it's been quite a move for us, and it's exciting for us. And they love their new house, and it's actually been okay. But you gotta. It's like your new baby is a family, and my wife and I are like, wait, don't touch that wall, don't get your hands off the wall, don't touch that, don't touch that. And I'm like, wait, what are we doing? I'm like, they're 3, 5, and 7 years old. How are we gonna watch them from not touching a wall? I go, we can't do that. We just had the house painted, and you're just like, oh, don't go there, don't touch that, why are you throwing that thing across the room? What are you doing? So, but we're getting there. We're getting comfortable. So, but no, nothing's been broken yet. At least I haven't got any text messages from my wife. So that's good.
Well, obviously, it's a positive thing. So as the wife corrals the boys at home, you're trying to corral this tournament. And as always, Mike, I appreciate your time, and I look forward to continued conversations about this tournament. And I know, like you said, you have this avenge streak that you're doing. It continues with you this week in the NJCAA Division III National Tournament. And as always, thank you for being a part of the show, and thank you for all the hard work that you're doing.
Dan, thanks for having me, and anybody who wants to watch the show, it's the game. It's NJCAATV.com. We'd love to have people log on and watch the live stream.
NJCAA, make sure that you watch the tournament and be a part of it, and I shared that link on social media so you guys can pick it up there. Mike, as always, be well, be safe, and I look forward to hearing from another victory and going forward from there.
I appreciate it, Dan. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
That coming from Mike Wheeler, OCC women's basketball head coach this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, live on location at Dayton, Ohio. First time I've ever been to the First Four, first time I've ever been to Dayton, first time I've ever been to Ohio. So a lot of firsts happening as Wake Up Call is on the road. Last week, all week long, we were in Brooklyn, New York. Then we went back to our familiar stomping grounds of Central New York, back to the studio, and now we're back to the road again in the First Four of the NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament, and we will have those discussions with the players coming up next. Radford defeated LIU Brooklyn. St. Bonaventure defeated UCLA. You will hear my one-on-one conversations from the locker rooms of both of these teams here in Dayton, Ohio in just a moment.
This is a wake-up call fast break.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or ice milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Clothing that will change with you without you having to change. DreisigLady.com, DREISSIG Lady.com. With the Bamboo line Relax Fit clothing as well as the Athletic Fit clothing, DreisigLady.com is fit for any woman, any time of the day, anywhere. Whatever you're doing, whatever your day commands of you, command yourself to feel comfortable in Dreisig Lady Apparel. DREISSIG Lady.com. For all the women out there, feel good in what you're wearing. And don't feel like you have to constantly change throughout the day. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a business owner, going for a jog, going for a meeting, or just relaxing at home, DreisigLady.com is the right fit for you. DREISSIG Lady.com.
This is Lawrence Papaleo, licensed real estate salesperson for Gilbo Realty. Call our home office at 315-752-9513, or better yet, call or text me directly at 315-748-2524.
Let me ask you a question, Lawrence. If I needed you to help me buy a house, find the right place, could you help me do that?
Joe, I'll help you find your dream home.
You don't ever say my name on the radio, never. If I needed to sell a house, could you help me go about that the right way?
Yes, I can.
How do they get a hold of you?
Call me directly at 315-748-2524.
But you also do the commercial property. So if I got a business, couple businesses, got to take one here, move it over there, do this, do that, are you going to help me buy and sell my commercial property also?
Yes, sir.
I like that. What's my name again?
I have no idea.
Absolutely, but they need to know your name, so give it one more time.
This is Lawrence Papaleo, licensed real estate salesperson for Gilbo Realty. My phone number is 315-748-2524.
Why don't you tell them your name one more time and that number so we can jot it down?
This is Lawrence Papaleo. Call me or text me directly at 315-748-2524.
Muddy Waters Kitchen and Bar is your home on the water for every season. Join them on Wednesdays for all-you-can-eat wings, chicken thighs, and drumsticks from 3 to 9 p.m. And on Thursdays, join me, Dan Tortora, for live game show night, a new night out unlike anything you've played before in Central and Upstate New York, every Thursday at 7 p.m. And while you're there on Thursdays at Muddy Waters Kitchen and Bar, from 5 to 9 p.m., join them for the barbecue all-you-can-eat buffet with buffet-style sides, ribs and pulled pork, chicken thighs, and drumsticks. And on Wednesdays and Thursdays, all-day happy hour. You know how to get it done right at Muddy Waters Kitchen and Bar on 2 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Live from Dayton, Ohio, inside of the First Four is where Wake Up Call is right now, and the winners of the First Four in Game 1 and Game 2, the first two games of this year's NCAA Tournament for Division I men's basketball. Radford, the 16 seed, over fellow 16 seed LIU Brooklyn for the right to play Villanova, the number 1 seed in Pittsburgh. And then for the right to go to Dallas and play number 6 seeded Florida, St. Bonaventure, the number 11 seed, winning over number 11 UCLA. You're going to hear conversations that I had one-on-one in the locker rooms with both of these teams. First and foremost, we're going to go over to the Radford locker room and my conversation immediately following the game with Devonnte Holland. And this is what Devonnte had to say to me about this opportunity. And finally, in this play-in game, earning that 16 seed outright.
I feel like, we knew, finally in the spot, we deserved it, you know. Like, we worked hard. We worked hard all year, no matter what. We put the time in. We I felt like we deserved it from day one, you know.
Do you feel like maybe the NCAA tournament should change, that a conference tournament champion should be guaranteed a spot and not have to play in?
I mean, for us, I know it doesn't really matter. I felt like we should have had a secure spot, but you know, it is what it is. We was ready.
Yeah. You had some plays down the stretch. Just what you can say about your play inside when they were trying to get close. Just how you locked in and made sure that you kept separation.
I just locked in because I knew I go on the court. I just do whatever my team needs me to do, and I got a few buckets laid down. I come in. I'm usually the offensive man. Randy Pop, he's usually the defensive man. So I came in and just done what I needed to do, help my team win.
Here's what you can say about heading to Pittsburgh and knowing that you got Villanova coming up next.
I know Villanova is no one see. It's great. It's still a blessing, but you know they put on their pants and shirt just like we do. We're gonna come out. We're gonna do what we do, and whatever the outcome is, it is what it is.
How would you define Radford basketball when you say we're going to do what we do? How would you define what Radford is about?
Radford, we're a defensive team. We really lock up on defensive end, and we share the ball. You know, we share the ball a lot because we trust in one another. You know, so it's a lot of love throughout this basketball team. So that's a big reason why we have a lot of success, because we trust in each other and everybody that comes in, no matter what.
And lastly, for me, the fans showed out here in Dayton, Ohio. Just what that means to you.
Hey, Radford, you know, it's a great university. Fans always show up and show out, so it's just amazing to see them travel from 6-7 hours to watch us play. It just shows the love that they have for us.
That coming once again from Devonnte Holland of the Radford Highlanders in my one-on-one conversation with the team live here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. That is in Dayton, Ohio. That is our next stop. Hard to believe we were in Brooklyn, New York last week, and here we are in Dayton, Ohio, with only one show that was in between all of that was back in Central New York. Coming up next is Justin Cousin about no matter how close LIU Brooklyn came, they kept the separation.
We've been in those type of situations all season. We won our conference championship by a buzzer beater shot. We've lost a few games to 1 point, 2 point possession. So, we've been in those situations. So, going down and situations like that, we like our chances.
What can you say about it? You won your conference tournament, but you didn't get a guaranteed spot. Would you like to see that change, that conference tournament champions are getting guaranteed spots and not getting playing games anymore?
For us, it kind of worked out for us. We kind of feel like it was a chance for us to get our feet in the water. This was everybody on our team's first NCAA appearance, so it was nice for us to get up into a like opponent and get some confidence going into the actual tournament.
And when you look at Villanova coming up next, they're a #1 seed, just what you can say about going out to Pittsburgh?
It's just a great opportunity for us. No 16 seed has never beat a 1. We made history tonight, and Lord willing, we'll just keep making it happen.
Radford fans showed up from Virginia, just what that means to you?
No question. They've been showing love to us all season, and we love our fans. Our fans love us, so it was great to see them out there showing love to us.
And lastly for me, just define what Radford basketball is to you.
It's just commitment, hard work, being enthusiastic every day, just being extraordinary, sacrificing things that you would want for yourself, for the team, and just being excellent in everything you do.
That coming once again from Justin Cousin of the Radford University Highlanders, who move on to face Villanova after winning in their play-in game as a 16 seed down here, over here in Dayton, Ohio. And finally from the Radford locker room, here's my conversation with Travis Fields Jr. As close as LIU Brooklyn came, they kept him off. That's where we start things.
We had to focus on our transition defense. We knew that from the beginning of the game.
just everybody playing their parts in this game, from rebounding to scoring, just everybody knowing what they had to do.
You had some big-time plays in there as well. Just what you can say about your poise and your trust in your shot.
I'll give thanks to my teammates for putting me in the right positions and coaches for calling plays for me, putting his trust in me. But, I just did what I had to do to do whatever I had to do to help the team out.
What can you say about LIU Brooklyn? I mean, they made a push there. They got the lead back in the second half. Just what you can say about, what they did and the respect that you have for them as an opponent.
Much respect for them. They're a great basketball team, hard playing basketball team. They gave us a run tonight. As far as the lead, they came back. They made a run, hit some big shots. It was one great game. We just happened to come out on top.
You're in a play-in game, so now you have the right to go into the round of 64. Would you like to see that change? That if you win your conference tournament, you don't have to do a play-in game?
I know I speak for all the guys when I say it really that part doesn't matter to us. We, just playing here, we were grateful for it. So now we get to move on. So it's all just a blessing.
And as you move on, that this Radford fan base has been with you guys from Virginia. Just what that means to you, that they travel where you go.
Yeah, we love our fans. They show a lot of love. Like you said, they come wherever we go. Just support. Just our support system is great. So we love our fans just like they love us.
That coming once again from Travis Fields Jr. from my locker room conversation with him of the Radford Highlanders following their victory over LIU Brooklyn. You will hear from the St. Bonaventure Bonnies with numerous conversations coming up, including with their head coach Mark Schmidt in just a little bit here on the broadcast, and I will officially unveil my bracket picks all the way to the championship game. That'll be coming up very shortly here with Ross Turetsky, sports writer from Northeastern Pennsylvania. But before all of that happens, Eric Devendorf is on the show with me right now. He's in Dayton, I'm in Dayton, and we're having our live conversation about Syracuse and their opportunity as an 11 seed to move forward in this tournament against Arizona State in the first four here in Dayton, Ohio at the University of Dayton. And we're going to talk about as well as what Eric has done in the community. So first and foremost, Eric, welcome back to the show. I know it's been a little bit, but we're happy to have you back.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Dan.
And Eric, first and foremost, you've done so much for the community, and you care so much and so deeply. I want to go to that. I mean, you've grown as a man, you've grown as a person. From when I watched you as a player to becoming a dad, and you talking on the show about your kids, and to where you are today. Just what you can say you've done, how you've grown as a man, how you've grown as a person.
Well, I mean, definitely having two daughters, helps you grow up. You got to figure it out a little bit quicker. You have other two responsibilities to take care of, obviously, and it really helped me, try to get out in the community and help others as well. I had a coat drive not too long ago, so we did shoe drives, clothes drives, and obviously during the season it gets a little bit busy. But I think towards the summer, I'll definitely plan a different charity event of some kind, and just looking to help out the community that helped me out, so much when I was here playing. So it's only right for me to kind of reach out and do the same thing.
And when you see that, when you have that opportunity to go out and help the community, what made you want to do these drives? There's different avenues that you can take to do different things, but to do the shoe drive and the coat drive and whatnot, what kind of brought that idea up to you, and why did you feel like that was an avenue you wanted to go down?
I just wanted to help people. I mean, it's pretty simple as that. I just wanted to be able to help people that didn't have as much as I had, or even if they did have as much. It's a lot of people out here that are, struggling with whatever situation they're going through, and just a little help can go a long way. So for me to be able to do that and just help out some people, and we don't know these people, but we know that everyone goes through a lot of situations where they get in a little rut or whatnot. So for me and all the people that step up and help me out with the events that we run, it goes a long way for these people in the community. If you were there at any of the events, or whoever was there at the events, and they saw these people, nothing but smiles on their faces, man. Just to know that we can do that for other people in the community, it's pretty awesome.
And in a world where sometimes and unfortunately feels like a me society, and how do I help myself out? How do I get myself ahead? This, that, and the other. I mean, we we've obviously seen that there's people like yourself that do the opposite, and it is a we society, not a me society. What can I do to help you? How can you help me? How can we help each other move forward? Just what you could say about that, you know, with the world of social media, things can get to you instantaneously. So, you know, people see hate and they see anger. A lot of the stuff coming off the election, people get mad, and there's people that are fighting that are friends and family members and whatnot. So there's all these things going on in our society, and as well as the guy that, you know, I was with yesterday that drove me from the airport, and I'm sitting there speaking with Jeffrey, total stranger, and he looked at me in the mirror while he was driving, and he said, you know, racism in our society has to go away. And it's 2018, and we're still discussing this when it should have never been discussed. So, you know, this world needs some help, and, you know, you've decided that you don't want to just help out your family and your situation, but other people's situations. So just speak, Eric, on being a we society and not a me society.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you said it right there. It's a we society. I mean, that's what we need to make it. You know, I think for me, what I learned is that when you help other people, it helps you with your own, you know, with your own success. If you don't have that on the agenda, if you just go out there and do it with a pure heart, knowing that you can help people that are less fortunate than yourself, and I think it definitely, you know, helps you in the long run. I mean, it brings people together. You know, it's just something that society really, you know, needs to come to terms with as far as, you know, bettering ourselves and bettering the world. They really need to figure out that it's not just all about themselves, and you can't get ahead by doing that. How you really get ahead is working together and helping other people out. That's really the true definition of success is helping others out. And I figured that out because when I started doing, you know, events like this, it just made me feel good. You know, it was just kind of like a genuine feeling of feeling good. And when I started, you know, feeling that feeling, I just wanted to keep it going. And you know, I think now it's kind of my role to try to get others involved and kind of, you know, spread that message of we, like you said, as a community instead of me. And you know, everyone's not going to pick up on it. You know, everyone's not going to, you know, feel the same type of way about it. But I think if you can just put it out there and people, you know, they have an opportunity to grasp it. And if they don't, they don't. But if they do, they do. And it makes a big difference if they do, you know, for the community and you know, the outside communities as well.
Speaking here with Eric Devendorf of Syracuse Orange men's basketball history and the current assistant strength coach on the team, as well as helping out the community. You know, Eric, for you, it's not just the things that you do in the community. It's not just these events and the shoe drive and the coat drive and whatnot. It's your inspiring quotes. And I don't know if you see it on your Twitter, but I think pretty much every single day I'm reposting or favoriting something that you wrote. And I haven't said this to you personally, and I have no problem saying it to you on the air, is that you inspire me. And I work every single day at 32 years old and counting to be a good person. You know, in this world, still, it gets me down. There's moments where, you know, we all have our moments where this world feels like it ran over you with a truck or maybe hit you with a small toy truck. But either way, big or small, you feel it. And a lot of the time, I will see those inspiring quotes from you. I'll read them. I'll say them back to myself a couple times, and I'll remind myself, you know, these are the things you have to pay attention to. So I don't know if you know how far it reaches, but one of the big reasons why I wanted to have you back on the show and have you here this morning isn't just to sit here and talk about the first four, but it's to say thank you, because I know that you don't know how many people you get out to. And personally, for me, you've helped me deal with some stuff in my day by just taking a few seconds to write a few sentences on your social media.
Well, absolutely. I mean, well, that's what it's all about. I think social media is so powerful. I mean, obviously, you can use it for good and bad, but if you use it for the good, it definitely can get out there and help a lot of people. And just as you said, that, I mean, it makes me feel real good, man. And I've definitely gotten other tweets from people saying how, you know, a certain quote or tweet helped them out. And, you know, because everyone goes through it on a daily basis, man, myself included. I mean, nobody is exempt to this. And if I can just put a quote out like that and help people, and I mean, that's what I want to do, man, because like I said, I go through it too, man, on a day-to-day basis. We get frustrated about things, and, you know, we have certain thoughts that, you know, take us into a little rut or whatever, but, you know, we can always get out of that. And I think, just to be able to put that out there, because, other people are going through it as well. So if I can do anything just to, share with people and let them know that, it's not the end of the world. And, we're going to have days where there's ups and downs, and we're going to have days where we feel like we can't go on. But, the whole thing is that we can, and, and to be able to share that with others and kind of let them know that we're on the same page and we're on the same level. We're not different. We all go through these things, and it makes me feel great to know that, people really, get better off of just the quotes that I'm putting out on Twitter. So, I'm going to keep doing that and hopefully keep helping out people.
What kind of inspires you to do that? Where are these messages coming from? Is it just like a stream of thought? You're going throughout the day and something hits you, because I feel that when I think of something and I'm like, wow, that really helps me, I want to put that out there and I want to help other people. I mean, do you find that, is it just kind of in the stretch of a day? You just, it's like 1:34 in the afternoon and you're like, you know what, this taught me something. I want to put out something about it. Is that just how it happens, just instantaneously for you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times it's like that. You just have a little inspiration, or you may, go through something and then you just have a certain type of thought and you want to put it out there, like you said. But other times it's me reading. I do a lot of reading as well, so I might see a quote in there that really kind of sticks to me, and then I want to share that with people on Twitter. So either or, man. But like you said, just to be able to help these people and let them know that they're not alone. It makes a huge difference for myself and hopefully for everyone else.
Speaking here with Eric Devendorf of Syracuse Orange men's basketball history and a current assistant strength coach on the team. Eric, when you were playing for Syracuse, there was this, negative stigma that had gone with you, and you and I had discussed that before, that people didn't always see you in a positive light, or, they off the court stuff, and they want to know about this, and they want to judge you, and they want to kind of tell you who they think you are. And then you just work through that. You continue to live your life. You have your daughters. You raise them. You work to get a job. You work to get an opportunity. I remember the conversation you had with me of, don't be surprised if I'm in the Carrier Dome soon and I'm trying to get an opportunity with Syracuse. And then it was within a couple months you got that opportunity, and now you're inspiring people. Did you feel like there was an image that you had to change, and did you feel like it was an image you created that you had to change, or was it just people trying to say who they thought you were?
Well, I think that, it could be a little bit of both. I definitely, didn't help myself in certain situations. That's for sure. And I just had to grow up, man. I had to, learn what was right and what was wrong. I was a young kid playing at Syracuse University, and it's a huge opportunity, man. And if people, outside of the Syracuse community, they don't really understand how big it is and how big these people, take it during basketball season, man. So a player is in the eye. He's right in the eye of the community. And, if you do some stupid stuff, it's going to get put out there. Obviously I went through my stuff, but like I said, I grew up and figured it out. People are going to have their opinion regardless. I think on the court, it could be tough for people to decipher, me off the court, because I'm such a competitive and an emotional guy on the court that sometimes people can get it misunderstood. But for all the people who really know me and who've been around me and hung around me, they really know the real me and what type of guy I am, laid back, easygoing guy. And it's not my job to try to convince the other people who don't know me that I'm a good guy. I just have to, go about life trying to be the best person that I can be, trying to help out other people. And I think that's what I've tried to do. And, it's worked out in my favor. Obviously, like I said, we all have our days. And we still make our mistakes, but I think it's lessened now because, I know what I'm supposed to do, and I know what motivates me and what my priorities and values are. So I just grew up, man, and learned from my mistakes. And we're still going to have people who think different and who think, whatever, but I'm just going to keep trying to be the best person I can be.
It's been a little bit of time since that 6 overtime game, but nobody forgets it. And it's not just Syracuse fans. it's fans of basketball all over the world. That Syracuse-UConn game that just didn't seem to end, that started around 9 p.m. at Madison Square Garden and ended at like 1:12 or 1:20 in the morning. There was the shot that you had hit, and then went and jumped up on the scorer's table, and that picture will forever live on. And the funny thing is, even though that shot didn't count, that would have ended the game in regulation, that shot and that moment for you, that's like the face of this 6 overtime game. Just bring me into the craziness of it all, how it'll always live with you. It'll live past you, and people will talk to your daughters about it. I mean, they'll be talking about it forever. And then, on top of that, the fact that you hit that big-time shot, it didn't count, yet that's the face of that game to a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people might disagree that it shouldn't be the face. I mean, really, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, it was just an incredible game to be a part of, and I think if you ask me, it was the setup for the drama. It was kind of the beginning of the drama that started the 6 overtime game. So, just an incredible game. I mean, between two unbelievable teams. I mean, if you look at both teams, the talent on both sides was pretty unbelievable. And then obviously to have it set up like that on ESPN in the Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden, you couldn't ask for anything more than that. And it was just kind of a reaction, man. Obviously I'm not planning that. I'm not going into the game thinking that's going to happen. So it was just kind of a reaction, and it definitely set it up for what turned out to be the greatest college basketball game ever in my mind.
And I mean, to be a part of that, Eric, I mean, we look at all the games that happen. We look at the March Madness. We look at a season like this where I said, March happened early because there were upsets all over the country on paper-wise. When you look at that, like you said, and that, in your opinion, the best game in college basketball history, that best moment, just what you remember of that, what you recall of that, when you have flashes of it, just what it says, because everybody's talking about it and they're going to talk about it forever. And when we get around this time, especially, people are going to bring it up during conference tournament time and the NCAA tournament and whatnot. But what are the thoughts that flash across your mind when you go back to those moments?
Oh man, just the group of guys that was on my team at that moment, and just how hard we worked the whole season. That the conference that we were in was so competitive, man. We to Connecticut, Pittsburgh. Cincinnati was good. You had Marquette. All those teams from top to bottom, man. That old Big East was pretty unbelievable. But I just remember the guys and all the minutes that they put in, and really I remember after the game, man. Just getting out about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. We went to get some breakfast and then straight to the cold tub, man, to get ready for another game that ended up going to overtime against West Virginia the next day. So. Really, the first thing is just my teammates, man, and how much work they put in and throughout the year, and to get to that point and playing such a memorable game like that. Those guys will forever, stick with me.
Do you remember what you had for that early morning breakfast?
I don't. I know me and A.O. Lorenzo Anawaka went to a diner, so some type of breakfast food, but. I don't remember specifically what it was.
Speaking here with Eric Devendorf of Syracuse Orange men's basketball history. And Eric, before I let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't speak with you on this year's team. You were a part of heroics that we just spoke of. This team has been a part of their own heroics. I think that they, like a lot of teams in Syracuse history, are the quote-unquote unsung heroes. And because it's not flashy, because it's close, because it's gritty at times, because it's up and down, the respect doesn't always come there. But when I see these young men, I see fighters. I see a team that's playing with 5, 5.5, 6 guys when they're going up against teams that are playing 12, 13 guys, 11 guys. Roy Williams in North Carolina that has a starting 5 and another starting 5. And, I even go to that double overtime loss to Florida State on the road in Tallahassee, where their bench scored 45 points, your bench scored 9, but the team, it took Florida State double overtime to get separation from what was the majority of your starters playing not only 40 minutes, but well past that in that game. So, this team to me has done so much already to get to 20 wins and a very hard-fought 20 wins. what can you say about being in the locker room, being in practice, being around these guys all the time? Because I feel like their story's already been written special, where some people are waiting for these special chapters to come in. I feel like I can argue the other side definitely that there's already been some special chapters put in Syracuse history from these guys.
No, absolutely. I mean, you said it, these guys are fighters. I mean, we might not have the most talent, out of all the teams, but these guys go hard, man. They show it and put it out there on the floor, every single night for 40 minutes. And speaking of the three guys who play 40 minutes, in consistent games over the season, I mean, I don't think people on the outside really know how difficult that is to do, man. Playing with like you said, 5, 6, sometimes 7 guys. It's tough to do, man, during the season, especially with these kids being so young. We don't have the most seasoned group, so these guys have just kind of been thrown into the fire, and they've done an unbelievable job of just playing hard and never giving up. And we got to this point, and I think a lot of people, or most people, going into the year didn't think we were even going to get, 14, 15 wins. And so for these guys to get to 20 wins and get an NCAA tournament berth, it just goes to show you, how much heart and passion and drive they put into the season, into practice, into every game. And, kudos to those guys, man, just getting up for every practice and every game, regardless win or loss. These guys, left it out on the floor. And the effort is never questioned with this group. So just proud to be a part of it, and look forward to tonight to see how these guys go forward.
This team loses 4 out of their 5 scorers from last year going into the season. No Torian Thompson, no Andrew White III, no John Gillen, no Tyler Lydon. None of that is there. Just Tyus Battle coming back. Frank Howard's asked to be an offensive player. Marek Dolezaj's asked to come in as a true freshman. O'Shea Brissett's asked to come in as a true freshman. Brahma Sidibe, who hasn't been healthy all year, is asked to come in as a true freshman. Pascal Chukwu is asked to come in after eye surgery. Just, when you watch this team day to day to day, what have you seen from them, and, even some of those behind-the-scenes things that have just made you kind of take a step back, Eric, and just be impressed at this point?
Yeah, definitely impressed, man. Like I said, these guys' bodies have been through the ringer, man. You got multiple guys playing 40 minutes a game, and, guys playing with injuries, torn ligaments in their knee, and obviously Pascal, really, this is being his first full year of playing college basketball, doing it coming off eye surgery. And then, like you said, Marek, coming in from a foreign country, not speaking English well, trying to learn the plays and just being thrown into the fire, man. You couldn't ask for anything more than these guys. Obviously, we get upset, when they make mistakes during the game. I mean, that's just, how it goes. And as a coaching staff, we're there to correct them and try to guide them in the right direction as best we can. But you can't get too mad at these guys, man. They unbelievable effort night in and night out. When they come in from playing consistent games in a row and right off the road and come to practice, with guys playing the whole game, bodies are tired, still working through it and putting their all into the practice to get ready for the next game. So these guys have done it all, and really impressed with this group as far as the resilience and effort that they've shown on a daily basis.
2 final questions for you, speaking here with Eric Devendorf. First one, assistant strength coach, just what you can say you've learned about being a part of the staff in this respect, and just what you've taken away from some of the other unsung heroes that are right there on the bench with the team every single game.
Just all the hard work that goes in behind the scenes, man, in the weight room, off the court, and the psychology of it, trying to help the guys, when coach gets on them, and knowing that, I've been in those certain situations, so just kind of trying to share my knowledge and guide these guys to where, they run into a situation, they can deal with it, better than if they, didn't know. So, a lot goes into the stuff behind the scenes, man, especially when guys are playing so much. They got to take care of their body. They got to be, 100% mentally ready. So I'm just learning a lot, man, obviously being in the meetings with coach and soaking in all that knowledge from a Hall of Famer. Just pretty grateful to have this opportunity to learn about the other side of things and how things work. And, I've definitely learned a lot. And I just look forward keep going.
And final for you, Eric, just being an 11 seed, this is an atypical situation for Syracuse to be in a play-in game here in Dayton, Ohio, and it's kind of an interesting scenario because Syracuse has played Dayton recently, and now they're at the University of Dayton. Alan Griffin used to be at Dayton and, came over from last season to this season to join the staff in Syracuse. And as a former player like yourself of the Syracuse Orange, and then you look at the play-in side of it and fighting for the right to have the spot so that you can move forward in the round of 64. Just all these things that are going on, just what you could take away from that. I mean, you had Alan Griffin on the other side of Syracuse in recent history. Now he's here, and you have a play-in situation, which is something that's not something that Syracuse is usually playing in. They're either in or they're out. So just what you can say you've taken away from kind of all the things that are going on around this game as you get set for Arizona State.
Well, I think different can be good, man. I think that change can be good, and I think that for us not being in this situation a lot of the time, it can be good. We need to take advantage of it and learn to adapt to different situations, and I think that it's a prime example now that we can take advantage of this opportunity, and I think these guys are ready to do it. They're just so excited that they got in to get opportunity, but that's just the beginning. We want to be able to get in here and win some games and make a run, and I think that this team has the fight in them to do it, and so we'll look forward to the night. Hopefully we get started right off the good foot, and keep it going into the second and third round.
And St. Bonaventure got a big-time victory for the state of New York as well. What can you say about that really quick?
Oh, super happy for the Bonnies, man. They deserve it. They've had an unbelievable season. I think a school record 25 wins in the regular season. So they deserve everything, they get. UCLA was an unbelievable team, and they just showed, St. Bonaventure just showed how good they are by going in there and getting the win. So look forward to watching them play as well, man. Obviously, you want to root for the home state, and just happy for St. Bonaventure, their coaching staff and players, man. They've done great the whole year.
That coming from Eric Devendorf. I know you got a game to prepare for, so thank you for taking some time with me this morning here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and thank you, as always, Eric, for all your kind words personally and everything that you put out there on social media, because you really are helping the world, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you having me on.
That coming from Eric Devendorf one more time of the Syracuse Orange men's basketball squad. We're going to take a quick step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.com. We'll come back with the Bonnies one-on-one conversations with St. Bonaventure following their win over UCLA, and then Ross and I will unveil our brackets coming up in just a moment.
This is a Wake Up Call Fast Break.
Hey, Wake Up Call listeners, this is Tom Taylor, owner of Sammy Malone's, located at 2 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York, overlooking the beautiful Seneca River. We proudly open our doors to you 7 days a week, beginning at 11 a.m. daily, with free parking. Whether it's game day, after-work drinks, or a meal with family and friends, we are honored that you come visit us. Call 315-635-5407 for parties and catering. I'll see you at Sammy Malone's, home of the best sandwich in Beeville.
Hi, this is Domenico Vitali, owner of Giovanni's Formal Wear, where you look great and feel even better with our renowned tailoring and alteration services on any suit or any tuxedo from anywhere. Call 315-455-8729. That's 315-455-8729. Stop in locally on Route 11 in North Syracuse, next to the Ponderosa Plaza, where you can choose your style, get fitted, and tailored, all at Giovanni's Formal Wear.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
For all of us that have always wanted our favorite restaurant to come to us, it's now a reality in Central New York with It's a Utica Thing, with Utica Pizza Company bringing their wonderful recipes that they've handed down through generations to you, to your event, to your business, to your home. It's a Utica Thing, proudly bringing Utica Pizza Company on wheels to your location. Call 315-738-8946. That's 315-738-8946 to bring Utica Pizza Company to your doorstep with It's a Utica Thing.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be here with you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora live on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, the live feed that you can pick up on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and directly on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. We are live from Dayton, Ohio, and you have heard from Eric Devendorf live just now of the Syracuse men's basketball history and obviously a part of the staff as Syracuse gets set to take on Arizona State in the game that will be later on today, Wednesday, March 14th, for Syracuse in their play-in game in the first four for the right to play 6th-seeded TCU. As an 11 seed, they have to go through Arizona State to do so. And it'll be a very interesting game that I will be on site for, so make sure that you're on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, on Twitter at CallDT, and on Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Those Bonnie fans know exactly why you need to be on, so that you don't miss a moment of the action as I cover these games here in Dayton, Ohio with the first four. And I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Radford for being a part of the show, and I want to thank Mike Wheeler of the OCC Lazers women's basketball team. Coming up next, before Ross and I unveil our NCAA Tournament Bracket picks this year, we always do our bracket breakdown, and we're going to be doing that once again in just a few moments. But before we go there, I want to get into my one-on-one conversations with the team, with these St. Bonaventure Bonnies, and I want to start with LaDarien Griffin and what LaDarien Griffin had to say about getting the 11 seed outright after that victory over UCLA.
I mean, you're always thankful for a win. It was a team effort that we all stuck together, even when they made their runs. And it just feels great to come on top and then just keep working every day.
Staying calm in a game like this, there's the outside noise of their UCLA. They have this history, they have this, they have that. How do you just drown that all out and not care about it?
We got history too. we don't worry about the outside noise. I mean, we come every day, we come ready, and we want to battle with everybody and then show everybody what we got. So we had the opportunity. We showed the opportunity right now, being the only game left that night, only NCAA game, and we want to prove to America we're good too.
You come from a small part of New York State. Mm-hmm. Just what you could say about repping that small part and how that small part made this a home game in Dayton, Ohio.
Man, people are gonna start respecting our crowds. Man, we travel well. I think that's what being a small community. It's just like they support us everywhere we go. So, and then the alumni huge. Like they always supporting us, and it showed tonight that everybody's behind us.
Courtney Stockard, 26 points in the game.
Tough.
Just what you can say about how he went off.
I mean, he's been doing that all year, and now he's finally like people are finally seeing how good he is, man. He's a great player and a great teammate. He just even when we got down, he got a clutch bucket for us, and we just kept it going. And he's just a great player.
That coming once again from LaDarien Griffin of the St. Bonaventure Bonnies. And coming up next on the broadcast is my one-on-one conversation with Amadi Ikpeze of the St. Bonaventure Bonnies, and proud to have Amadi on the show as well. He had a phenomenal picture, and it's the one that I utilized in promotion of him being on the show, where he has his hand covering the face of UCLA, essentially showing how St. Bonnie's just covered whatever UCLA was trying to do. They covered it. They overcame it. They just, no matter what you sent their way, they took you out. They just automatically, boom, done. When they were down, came back. When it was tied, did what they needed to do to get the lead. When they had the lead, worked to sustain it throughout the game. This team was never out of the game. They were fast all throughout the game, attacked the basket all throughout the game, didn't just rely on shooting threes. You see some of these teams that are playing, the Power 5, so to speak, and there's that concern and that nervousness, and let's just shoot threes to try and beat them, and if we make them, great, and it's a game, and if we don't, we lose by 40. St. Bonaventure dictated the pace of this entire game, and they played inside out, outside in. They went all over the place. They moved the ball around. They shared the ball with each other, and they won this game as a team. Amadi is up next, speaking on moving on to Florida.
Just knowing the group of guys that we have, and just knowing that we fight every day in practice, and just we earn this, just competing every day at a high level, and just we didn't give up for 40 minutes. We knew we could win. We played the whole game, and that's what we did.
People on the outside looking in want to talk about Power 5 conference versus conferences that aren't in the Power 5. Just what you can say about silencing that noise, not caring about it.
Like Coach says, when you step on the court, it's just a battle between 19-year-old to 22 men. So that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. It don't matter what school you go to. The name on your jersey just matter what you do when that ball go up.
You lost the lead. You got it back. It went back and forth a lot in the second half. Just what you can say about never giving up, staying poised, staying relaxed, and knowing that you guys could get it back.
Just knowing how the game of basketball is a game of runs, and just playing for the whole 40 minutes until that final buzzer go off. You never know. It's a crazy game.
What is it about this team that makes this year's St. Bonaventure team so special?
Honestly, I think it's just like the chemistry and just the love we have for each other, and just knowing that we give it all on the court for each other. I think really that's the big thing.
You guys have wins over the Power 5 in the regular season. Now you had this one over UCLA. Just what it says about how dangerous you are as you move forward.
We just keep getting better. Just got to keep working, taking one game at a time. Just prepare. The coaches do a good job getting us ready, and we just got to go out there and play hard.
A team from a small area in New York State. Just what you could say about that, coming from a tiny area in New York State and repping that area.
We just out there playing, and we just know that St. Bonaventure is a great university, and we just want to make the university, the alumni, the students, everybody, the community proud.
That coming from Amadi Ikpeze of the St. Bonaventure Bonnies. And up next is his teammate in our one-on-one conversation from the locker room following St. Bonaventure's win over UCLA in the first 4 as Wake Up Call broadcast live over here in Dayton, Ohio. I always want to say down. I feel like we just do that as a society. We always say down. Are you coming down to Syracuse when you're talking to a friend from Orlando? I don't know what it is. We always say, are you coming down here, down here, down here? Well, I'm over there in Dayton, Ohio, and we're broadcasting live and during this first 4 opportunity, and two 16-seeded games, play-in games, and then 2 11-seeded play-in games. We had half of them happen on Tuesday, March 13th, and here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, it is time to continue the conversation with that secondary game, which was UCLA and St. Bonaventure. This is what Matt Mobley had to say about knocking down free throws down the stretch. Not just him, but St. Bonnie's as a whole.
I mean, we cherish free throws every day in practice. We work on those every day. We know how big they are. We know they can win or lose a game, and we just shoot them every day. So it's just like we was every day in practice. We knocked them down, and I'm glad and I'm thankful we were able to do that.
Courtney Stockard, just what you can say about what he did in this game, almost 30 points.
If it wasn't for Court, man, we wouldn't be here right now. We'd be on our way back to Olean. So he carried us all game, and I'm just thankful he was able to do that. and that's just what he does. Hopefully we can continue to keep doing this on our way to Dallas.
The lead went back and forth. It was with you guys. It was with you guys at the half, and then it went back and forth a lot in the second half. You guys took it back. They had it for a little while. Just what you could say about staying poised and never giving up on the game.
I mean, we've been in situations like that all year. We've been down big, came back. We've had the lead, lost it, came back. So there really isn't much the team hasn't seen. We got a veteran ball club, and if we go down a couple points, that's not going to faze us. We're going to try to fight back and try to get the win.
You guys have wins over the Power 5 in this tournament now and in the regular season. Just what you could say about how it doesn't matter who the team is, what conference they come from.
I mean, the game's played 94 feet. It doesn't matter if it's on the front of your jersey, back of the jersey, who went to your school before. I mean, you got to come ready to play, and that's what we did today.
What is it about this team that makes it so special? What can you say about this group of guys?
It's not only the team. It's the school. It's the community. I mean, Dayton fans were cheering for us. We had guys donate like $10,000, $20,000 just for our fans to come. So $50,000. So it's a family. It's a family. So that's what's so special. We all rally behind each other, and we're not done yet. We're trying to keep going.
The Bonnies fans treated this in Dayton, Ohio, like a home game. Just what you can say about that.
I mean, they treated this like a home game. Last week in our A10 tournament, they treated it like a home game. We were out in D.C. We had the most fans there. I mean, it's just crazy. They travel everywhere, and we love them, and they're the reason why we go so hard every day. No problem. Thank you.
That coming from Matt Mobley, once again, of the St. Bonaventure Bonnies in our one-on-one conversation. Moving on to my conversation with Jaylen Adams, staying poised when the lead moved back and forth. Just what he could say about that.
I credit the veteran leadership on this team and the coaching staff. We got 3 seniors in the backcourt paired with Courtney. He's kind of like a senior. LD's, he's been in a lot of battles. So I just credit the experience on this team for the way we never hang our head, and we understand that it's a game of 40 minutes. So they're gonna make their runs, but we're gonna make ours too.
You had to make big plays down the stretch. Bring me into that jump shot that you took from inside the arc that was a little bit off balance. Just what you could say about that one. It's what I would call, I think maybe you could say this, it's a tournament type shot.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been hitting shots all day. That's part of the reason I got such a clean look. I wasn't knocking down threes, so I just kept probing them down. I was able to knock down the 2. I credit my teammates again. They found me, they spaced the floor, and they just kept my confidence high all night, never let me hang my head.
Even though the lead went back and forth, could you feel a level of frustration from them for what you guys were doing? You had 11 steals to their 1. They had 20 turnovers. You guys had 6. I mean, those are tremendous stat lines that show how you win this game.
We just know we've been winning all year defensively. We've got good offensive players, but when the offense isn't going, we got to really lock in on defense. And I think that's what we did tonight. We just made sure that we capitalized on defense and we capitalized off their turnovers. So I credit Courtney's play on offense and the defense for the win tonight.
You know what it's like to go out there and win big-time games. You know what it's like to go inside the Carrier Dome, go to overtime, win that game, come here, do this. Just what you can say about how this team all season long has been that team that wants people to know that you're here to stay.
Again, I just credit the leadership on this team and the coaching staff. We got guys who just been through battles. We battle tested. We got guys who are battle tested, and I'm proud of the win tonight, man. We got seniors in the backcourt, and I think that's the reason we won for real. I can't even talk right now. It's louder. But yeah, that's the reason we won tonight was the veteran leadership. I'm proud of that.
So yeah, just going off of that, just what you can say about Coach.
Okay, yeah. Man, he means the world to me, man. He gave me a chance as a freshman. Not many people did. He gave me an opportunity, and he threw me in the fire as a freshman. And he's the main reason for my maturity and my development. He trusted me late in the game. I wasn't sticking shots all day, and that just shows the relationship that we got. He put the ball in my hands, and I'm just thankful for that, man.
Lastly, for me, there's 351 Division I men's basketball schools. What does it mean to be a Bonnie?
So, man, it's crazy. You can feel the energy in the gym tonight. Bonaventure is a special place, man. It's a family. To win this for them tonight, I'm glad we can get this win for the fans and for the community, and I want to keep doing it for them. No problem.
That coming from Jaylen Adams of the St. Bonaventure Bonnies here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and our one-on-one conversations as we broadcast live from Dayton, Ohio during the first 4 of the NCAA Tournament, and being a part of the first official game of the NCAA Tournament for Division I men's basketball in 2018 was amazing. being a part of the first day, the first game, and, of course, this big-time moment by St. Bonaventure, being a Central and Upstate New Yorker, was one for the books, and definitely one for the log in the brain, so to speak, and that book that my brain continuously writes of the life. This is a chapter I want to keep forever. Courtney Stockard, 26 points. This is what he had to say about how he went off in this game.
Well, I gotta credit my teammates. You know, they keyed in on Jay and Matt early, and we really knew they would because those are our guys. So I just wanted to kind of be more aggressive and just kind of make plays just to keep us in the game. I got to credit Jay and Matt. They did a good job of finding me. I made plays down the stretch, like you said, and I just wanted to be the guy to make plays for us to get a W.
When you look at a game like this from the outside looking in, people want to talk about who St. Bonnies is, who UCLA is, history and all that. That didn't matter to you guys. Just what you could say about that.
Like we say all the time, like we don't really worry about like rankings and storylines and outside noise. At the end of the day, it's a 5-on-5 game. They got to lace their shoes up just like we do. And we just took advantage of the opportunity, you know.
They try to make runs, especially in the second half. Just what you could say about you guys staying calm, staying disciplined, and do what you need to do.
I think this is a pretty poised team. We got a lot of veteran guys, Jay, Matt, Idris. They played in a lot of big games, and they're our leaders. So we look to them. They did a good job of rallying the troops when UCLA went on their run. Credit to them. But we made enough plays down the stretch, and we pulled out the W.
You had some pretty acrobatic plays around the rim. When you wanted to get to the rim, you got to the rim. Just what you can say about that, because you didn't let anything get dictated to you. You dictated what you were doing.
Not to toot my own horn, but I felt like I had the mismatch. My coaches told me that I had the mismatch to just be aggressive coming out, and when I'm more aggressive, when I'm making plays, that opens up shots for Jay and Matt. And me being aggressive, I think that's what helped the team pull out the win today.
What should the world know about St. Bonaventure? You guys come from a small part of New York, yet that small part of New York made this game in Dayton, Ohio feel like a home game.
They should know that we're going to come out and play our hard at our 110% game every night, no matter who we got in front of us, no matter what names we see. And then, like I said, at the end of the day, it's a 5-on-5 game, and they got to play just like us.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
That coming from Courtney Stockard, the leading scorer of the St. Bonaventure Bonnies in this game, that was dictating, like I was saying, he was dictating what was going on inside of this game, you know, inside of the paint at the rim. I mean, this man was getting to the basket. He was doing acrobatic plays here, there, and everywhere. And then when they needed a big-time three, he stepped out. He thought about it after being underneath the basket. He came outside. They fed him the ball. He looked at the rim, and he took that shot, and he cashed in when they were trying to come back. And ultimately, they win this game. And like Jaylen Adams said, we don't win this game without Courtney Stockard. So with that being said, the team has spoken, the players-wise. Now it's time for the head coach. This is not the press conference. This is a one-on-one in the locker room, just him and I, Mark Schmidt, head coach of the St. Bonaventure Bonnies, on what he can say about this tremendous moment in their history.
You know, we're St. Bonaventure. We haven't won an NCAA tournament game in whatever 48 years, and to be able to do it against UCLA and the tradition that they have, and what happened in 1970 with us, you know, and you know, to see our guys' faces and how hard they played and having some success, I couldn't have been prouder.
What Courtney did in this game, 26 points. He went off when he needed to. I said that from my eyes, he dictated what was happening. He didn't let anything get dictated to him.
Yeah, we thought going into the game that we thought Courtney would be could be a difference maker just because of the size of UCLA, and their four-man is 6'11". He's not going to be able to move his feet as well, and Courtney's more of a three-man than a four-man. So we thought that we could attack that, but you just never know. And, we started off. We were nervous, we were tight, but Courtney, I thought, got us out of that and gave us some confidence, especially when Jay wasn't playing well. And Courtney was the difference, for a kid that to not have played for 2 years, to be able to come back and have a moment like that, it's that's what we're really proud of, and I'm glad he had that chance.
Jaylen said that you took a chance on him as a freshman. You gave him an opportunity, and that you mean everything to him. Just what you can say he means to you.
No, we wouldn't be here. He's our Tom Brady. He runs the team. He's the leader of our team. He gives us confidence, and even a game like today where he's struggling, he hits that big shot. But yeah, it's we didn't know he was going to be this good. I'd be lying if I told you we did. But just a great kid. He epitomizes what we try to do at Bonaventure. A kid that goes to class, is a good student, and loves to play.
The fans made Dayton, Ohio feel like it was a home game for you guys.
It was Riley Center in Dayton. It's the first time that I've been here where we didn't get booed. And the Dayton community and the fans, it's one of the reasons why we won. That was a home court for us, and kudos goes out to them. They were really supportive, and we're much appreciated.
Coach, I'm an upstate. I'm an upstate New Yorker, so I know that St. Bonaventure is in a little small part. Yeah. Just what you could say about the family and the close knit, and just what it is and how this team is special. I
can't really put it into words. It's a unique place. It's a family. It's a cult in a good way. They have the saying, "Once a Bonnie, always a Bonnie." I've never ever talked to anybody that hasn't had a good experience there. It's away from things, but since it's away from things, it brings people together. And basketball ignites everybody. So it's just a neat place that when people talk, when you say stuff about Bonaventure and how nice it is, and the Riley Center, people don't understand. You got to see it, and once you see it, then you'll become a believer. It's better than what I can say. It's a special place, and the people at the university and the alums they love it. They love the place, and they're so passionate about the university and about our basketball program.
That coming from head coach Mark Schmidt of the St. Bonaventure Bonnies, and I want to thank him for taking some time with me because, like I said, that was the post-game press conference that was in the locker room, him and I, with all the team around, having a conversation. So thank you to Mark Schmidt. And after we had that conversation, he put his arm around me and he said, "You're a Bonnie now." So, it's moments like that that you never forget. And it's moments like that mean a lot to you, and it's moments that this tournament bring you, and that this broadcasting and writing life has brought me, and owning my own company and all this. I mean, God has brought a lot to my doorstep, and it has been beautiful. It has been fun, exciting, and I can't thank him enough for it. So with all that being said, I'm very proud to be somebody who has a faith, believes in God, and knows that the story of life is always giving fruit and bearing fruit and creating. And I'm just blessed to be here. Speaking of here, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is broadcasting live from Dayton, Ohio during the first four. It's my first ever time being on site covering the first four, which are the play-in games of the NCAA tournament for Division I men's basketball. So very happy to be here with you in Dayton, Ohio. First time in Dayton, first time in Ohio, first time covering the first four. A lot of firsts here this week, and all of them amazing. I told my wife that when I got to my hotel room before the games even started, that God had blessed me so much on this trip that I didn't even need to see the games. And, the games obviously have been truly amazing and more than delivered. So, Radford and LIU Brooklyn, Radford really kept LIU at bay for the most part, but it was a game. And then St. Bonaventure, I picked them to win that game. I was just like, there's something about this team. This team was very impressive this year. After they beat Syracuse, you just kind of had the notion that, and they beat Maryland, you had the notion that this team was going to be a tournament team. They took care of business. They're in a very difficult conference, and, they continue to win. They continue to push. They continue to do good things. Their respect should have been there from you. Some people, obviously, not everybody pays attention to what the Bonnies are doing or to what every single team is doing, but you should. And, you know, I mean, we look at St. Bonaventure in the Atlantic 10. The Atlantic 10 is one of the most difficult conferences to play in college basketball, and it's been that way. Even though they've changed and people have come in and out of the conference, that conference continues to be one of the most difficult conferences. And what I mean by that is the fact that, you know, you talk about the Big East beating up on each other and the ACC beating up on each other. The Atlantic 10 does the same thing. And when you go throughout this, when you go to the Rhode Island Rams, they've gotten good as of late. St. Bonaventure Bonnies having a good season right now, winning their first tournament game in 40 years. Davidson getting the conference tournament championship, so they had the automatic bid to come into the NCAA tournament, to St. Joseph's, who finished fourth in the A10 this year. And what they've done, they've been a number one seed before in the NCAA tournament. VCU has been dangerous in the past when they had Shaka Smart as their head coach, and they're still relevant. The St. Louis Billikens have shocked some people in recent history. George Mason had made it to a Final Four. Richmond was the 15 seed that beat Syracuse when Syracuse was a 2 seed. Dayton is a team that played Syracuse tough and other teams tough. I mean, we look throughout this entire conference, and I just named the top 9 in the Atlantic 10, and all of them have been relevant in the last decade or so. So, not an easy conference to come out of, and the St. Bonaventure Bonnies had the second best record at 14-4 behind Rhode Island, who was 15-3. St. Bonnie's 26-7 after the victory over UCLA, and that 26-win season thus far is a record of the most wins that St. Bonaventure has ever had in a season in their history of existence. So a huge congratulations to the St. Bonaventure Bonnies and to all that they have done. Thank you so much. Johnny is here on the line with me. He's on the live feed. If you become a member of mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, you will get 2 awesome things, and they come for free. You get to chat with me in the live chat room, which is for members only. And so it's just a live running feed of a conversation. And whenever the show goes live, you can speak with me. You can ask questions, you know, to the people that are on the show and a part of the show live and whatnot. And then outside of that, you get emailed when the show goes live, so you never miss a live show again. mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, wherever we're broadcasting from, wherever we are, Dayton, Ohio this time around, wherever we may be, you're here with us on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, and of course on Facebook at wakeupcalldt, on Twitter at calldt, and on Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. Johnny really wants Ndamukong Suh to come back to come back to the team. So what did he have here? He said it would be super cool. And I was like, and then I changed Ndamukong Suh to Suh and put, I saw what you did there. But it would be superb, Superman, and then Sue with the $, and he said he's all jacked up on Mountain Dew. So Johnny, you know, we're going to take a really quick step aside, and when I come back from this break, I know we've been speaking about college basketball throughout today's show. I know that we've been, you know, obviously speaking about it the last week with the ACC tournament, my coverage from Brooklyn and doing all the live shows there, as well as championship week and bracketology and selecting who do I think is going to make the tournament and the at-large bids and all that good stuff. So with all of that being said and everything we've done with college basketball, there's been so many things going on with the NFL, and it's not that I haven't wanted to talk about it. It's just the time of the year and what's going on. So you know what? We got a few minutes. Ross and I are going to unveil our brackets at 11 a.m. Eastern time, so I got some time. We're going to take a fast break. We're going to come back. I'm going to discuss the Detroit Lions. So, Johnny, and I'm going to discuss them, not just because, you know, Johnny's the resident Central and Upstate New York Detroit Lions fan, but because the Detroit Lions have made a lot of moves lately, a lot of transactions. So, Johnny, get your questions in, get your thoughts in here. We're going to discuss it in just a moment.
This is a wake-up call fast break.
Gear up with the real deal at Dreisig Apparel, creating what people are going to see and learn about you before they even meet you. Gear up for what you need for your team, business, or event. So look professional, look good, and feel good. Outfit yourself at DreisigApparel.com. That's DREISSIG apparel.com. UticaPizza.com, the only place to gear up with the real deal. What's the universal language of a fan? Clapping your hands. With Fan Hands, the ultimate sports fan accessory, find your team color, slip them on, and start cheering on your favorite team with 11 different colors, always in stock on fanhands.com, where you'll find the ultimate sports fan accessory. Real fans wear Fan Hands.
Utica Pizza Company spells family. Your family, my family, their family. The recipes that they have shared with each other throughout the years and have now been so gracious to share them with us. I can sit here and talk with you about all the great things that are on the menu. We'd be here forever. So let me say this. Utica Pizza Company is second to none. And now you can bring it home with you and you can dine in the restaurant. UticaPizzaCompany.com will give you all the information that you need. And let me say, these Utica greens, they're the best. Utica Pizza Company. Call them and place your order at 315-214-3060. That's 315-214-3060. Families break bread at Utica Pizza Company.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. We are inside of the morning menu for Wednesday, March 14th. You've already had plenty of conversations between myself and the Radford Highlanders, St. Bonaventure Bonnies, one-on-one conversations here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as well, and Mike Wheeler of the OCC Lazers women's basketball team as they get set for the NJCAA Division III National Tournament. And you just heard very recently here from Eric Devendorf of Syracuse Orange men's basketball history, that 6 overtime game against UConn, and of course the current assistant strength coach on the team here in Dayton, as am I, as Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora airs live from Dayton, Ohio, here this morning on Wednesday, March 14th. We're going to unveil our brackets. Ross Turetsky, sports writer from northeastern Pennsylvania and a great friend of mine. I consider him a brother. Him and I every single year unveil our brackets live on Wake Up Call together, so I'm very excited to do that. But before we go there, we're going to take a little break for the NFL, and I know Johnny's been sending messages for the last week plus on wanting to discuss his team, so we're going to do that right now. He said, is Coach Matty P going to switch to a 3-4 defense with all the linebacker signings and with Haloti Ngata going to Philly that leaves a void at defensive tackle? What I'm reading is they may trade up because they want... Now they brought in running backs and passed on them, and they're looking at Frank Gore now if he passes, but yet still very serviceable and a power back and can mentor the younger guys. I hope we can sign them because we can get him at a good price. So is Matty P going to switch his defense? That's the question. So where do we think that he could be going? Well, he hired Paul Pasqualoni to be his defensive coordinator. So that is something to be said. When Paul Pasqualoni was with Syracuse back in the mid-'90s, they ran a 4-3 defense. Now, I want to take a look here right now. Now, Matt Patricia, looking at taking the defensive scheme and tailoring it around his players and what he sees from his players and what he has. You know, Matt Patricia had said scheme and things like that is going to be a process for us to go through before we kind of nail everything down. There's a whole player evaluation that needs to take place first. There's obviously free agency, the draft, which affects all of that too as you go through the process of spring training camp and the season. For me, that changes. End quote. So kind of looking at how he's going to scheme things and what's going to go on here. New England, when Matt Patricia was the defensive coordinator there, wasn't a straight 4-3 or a 3-4. So we look at the fact that he was more of a week-to-week scheming, as a defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia wasn't, I'm a 3-4 guy and that's it. No, I'm a 4-3 guy and that's it. Scheming week-to-week for your opponent and being able to be multiple and being able to ad-lib and being able to adjust, That's why the Patriots win so many Super Bowls. That's why the Patriots are relevant every single year. We speak on it with, whether it's college basketball or the NFL or whatever it may be, that if you're multiple, you have the opportunity to win multiple championships because you can adjust. And that's one of the things that Matt Patricia hangs his hat on here. So, defensive coordinator Paul Pasqualoni, he said, quote, "I'll say Coach Pasqualoni and I have a long history together, so there's a lot of common ground from what we believe in, how a defense should be played, how it should be run, the fundamentals behind it. The core teaching of what should be accomplished first and foremost. There's a huge comfort level for me to have him on board and to be able to entrust him to handle that." End quote. So it seems like could be continuing what he did, and why wouldn't he, with New England, instead of being a straight base 4-3 or a 3-4, to adjust to the talent that you have on the team, to build around that talent, to find what works best for that talent, how you can win with that talent, and to look week to week at the matchups that you have, and to be able to have nuances and scheming and different things that can help you out. And having a coach as your defensive coordinator in Paul Pasqualoni, who's been a D coordinator as well as a head coach, and you look at him with all the work that he's done collegiately as well as in the NFL ranks, he's somebody that has a good relationship with Matt Patricia. He's also somebody who's had a ton of experience. So that is huge for the Detroit Lions as they move forward. The other thing about the Detroit Lions is the fact that they brought in so many different people at the running back position. DeMarco Murray from the Titans, as well as bringing in Jonathan Stewart of the Carolina Panthers, and now Frank Gore of the Indianapolis Colts, who spent so much time with the San Francisco 49ers. And the question is, who is the right guy? Now, Frank Gore's not going to live forever. If you sign Frank Gore, you're going to have him for about 2 to 3 years. That's all you're going to get, maybe 2 years. So, Frank has obviously shown that he can withstand the test of time, and he's not your typical running back that has 2 to 3 years, 3 to 4 years longevity in the NFL. This guy's been playing for a very long time, seems like 30 years sometimes, but Frank Gore has something left in the tank. He showed that with Indy, but Indy has struggled to move the ball on the ground and in general, and it has to fix some things on the offensive line to make sure that they're protecting their quarterback and moving the team forward. So, with Frank Gore moving forward in his career, I don't think he's a bad move for Detroit, but you have to couple him with a younger guy. You have to couple him with somebody who hasn't been in the NFL that long. Maybe go get a rookie. Maybe somebody who's got a couple years on him. DeMarco Murray, I really would have liked to see what he could be in Detroit. I think that there's something left in the tank. Unfortunately, he's been injured a lot lately, and he really didn't have a season in his second season with the Tennessee Titans. You look at what he did with the Dallas Cowboys, in the big head that created with him. He goes off to Philadelphia, does almost nothing, and then Philadelphia runs all over the Patriots with Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount, and Corey Clement did some great things in that Super Bowl and caught a touchdown pass, and obviously what he did throughout the season. So, you look at DeMarco, when he switched teams, it didn't really work out, but for Corey Clement, an undrafted rookie out of Wisconsin, to LeGarrette Blount coming over from the Patriots, to Jay Ajayi coming over from the Dolphins, they all found a way to make it work in Philadelphia and win a Super Bowl. So that doesn't bode well for DeMarco. And when DeMarco was sent packing after a year with Philadelphia, he looked really good with Tennessee and catching the ball out of the backfield. And fantasy football-wise, he was very impressive. But then this past season, he got hurt a lot. So, to get DeMarco Murray right now, I'm not a big fan of it. And Jonathan Stewart, and this is no disrespect to Jonathan, I have really never been a fan of him. Fantasy football-wise, he doesn't score points. So when I'm drafting, I always say, you can have Jonathan Stewart. I'm never going to fight you on Jonathan Stewart because Cam Newton is the leading running back for Carolina. So what Jonathan can be outside of the only place he's ever been, which is the Carolina Panthers, is left to be seen. And I don't know if I want Detroit to be the team that's going to, have the testing grounds of it. If I want Detroit to be the mouse in this maze that they've dropped the mouse in, because it hasn't worked out with Theo Riddick. He's not a dominant back. He's a change of pace guy, but he gets hurt. Amir Abdullah, he spent a few seasons in the NFL, and it just hasn't worked out, and he's not your dominant back, and he doesn't stay healthy either. So, you try to find a place for, you try to find a running back that can find their place on this Detroit team, because, of course, everybody's always going to think about Barry Sanders. And what you have to understand is that Barry Sanders is never going to happen again.
there's only one Barry Sanders, and there's a reason for that. And he's one of the greatest players that ever played any sport in the history of mankind. And I loved watching him. I was not a Detroit fan. I'm not a Detroit Lions fan in the comfort of my own home. That's not my team whose flag I have and banner and whatnot. But I will tell you that I'm a Barry Sanders fan forever and a day. And when I say Barry Sanders, I always picture when I saw him bend his foot downward like he broke his ankle and then just cuts in the other direction and takes off into a pile, bursts through the pile, and somehow finds life after that. Barry Sanders is one of the greatest to ever live, and he's never going to be replaced. So, Detroit fans have to come to terms with that. But Amir Abdullah is not the answer. Theo Riddick is not the answer. Jonathan Stewart's not the answer. DeMarco Murray's not the answer. Is Frank Gore the answer? I don't think so. I think he can be part of the answer, but I don't think he's the full answer. I still think that they may have to look into the draft and see what they can do and if they can make some things happen. Johnny said, we let 2 top-tier cornerbacks go, which I get because you don't want to pay them more than your Pro Bowl cornerback Darius Slay. So, yeah, Detroit's got to make moves. The good thing for Detroit is they have Paul Pasqualoni on the staff, and he is a phenomenal coach. And I know that his record doesn't always state it, but this man's worked with the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins. He was head coach at UConn, and he was an assistant most recently with Boston College under Steve Adazio, who ironically was his assistant at Syracuse. And he spent so much time at Syracuse and got fired for being mediocre at 6-6, which is hilarious because Syracuse would love to be 6-6 right now in football. So, I think Paul Pasqualoni is a great hire. I feel like this man, the older he gets, the more jobs he gets and the more opportunities that he gets. It just goes to show that, win, lose, or draw, if people respect you and you build a good network and you have good relationships and a good reputation, then you're going to be okay. Because the person that he is obviously speaks louder than his wins and when he's taken those L's. And, can't we all aspire to be that people look at us not just for our wins and losses, not just for our accolades and our adversity moments, but as the human being that we are. And if someone loves the human that you are, irregardless of your ups and downs, your ebb and flow, when you do this, when this doesn't work out, when this does work out, if they love you for who you are, if they love Dan Tortora for Dan Tortora, then they're going to love me forever, and they're going to work with me forever, and they're going to be a part of the family forever. And that's what Paul Pasqualoni is. And so I think that that's huge. Matt Patricia, he's coming from the New England Patriots. They've won a few games in the past few years. They have a few rings. I heard that they're a pretty good team last time I checked. So, I think that they definitely have built up their coaching staff. And on top of that, it's just about making the right moves. And I think letting Jonathan Stewart go, that could go either way because we don't know what he's going to be outside of Carolina. I think DeMarco Murray, letting him go, that's okay. I'm not going to lose sleep over that. But you can't go with Amir Abdullah and Theo Riddick anymore, and you really have to buckle down. Theo could be a help for you as a change of pace guy still. But, Frank Gore could be, like I said, he could be an answer, but he's not going to be the answer. I think that the answer is to bring in a vet and maybe a rookie for the Detroit Lions. With that being said, we'll take a quick, fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Johnny, I hope that I answered a bunch of your questions and gave you some good analysis on the Detroit Lions. You caught me on the fly here with nothing prepared to sit down and talk about in this. I'm speaking to you from the heart and from the mind of what I know of the Detroit Lions, and, that's what it's got to be about here. I don't write scripts. I don't have a shot sheet. I know who's going to be on here for interviews. I know some of the stuff we're going to discuss. I do my research. I prepare. And, and then some of you ask me questions that have nothing to do with what's on the docket for the day, and we do what we can. So Johnny said, thank you, sir, with, and Dominican Sue, with the SUHR. So, I got to give it up to Johnny. He's utilized someone's name in these nice little play on words better than most. So I'll give that to you. In 32 years, Johnny, I don't know if I've seen somebody use somebody's last name in as many plays on words as you have, especially in as a short amount of time as a half an hour. So shout out to you for that. We're
take a quick fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When we come back, we're going to go an extra hour of the show. Normally we're 9 to 11. We're going to go until noon today because it's time to unveil our bracket. Ross Turetsky and I unveil our NCAA Tournament Bracket coming up in just a moment. Make sure you go to the Yahoo Tourney Pick'em, click on Find a Group, and you will see Wake Up Call. Click on Wake Up Call and join there. Or you can look up group 9345, or you can look up groups that are connected with Syracuse, or you can look up Wake Up Call as 3 separate words on the Yahoo Tourney Pick'em, or you can go to Twitter at CallDT and Facebook at Wake Up Call DT and click on the links there. So there's so many different ways to do so. No excuse to not be a part of it. Over 200 of you have signed up. Let's make it happen again. Sign up in the Yahoo Tourney Pick'em Wake Up Call Bracket Challenge while we're talking on the show today. And we'll be back after this fast break to unveil our brackets. Ross will unveil his. I don't know who he picked. He doesn't know who I picked. That's all coming up in just a moment.
This is a wake-up call fast break.
Hi, this is Kira from Looking Glass Events, where we're always giving you a reason to celebrate. Whether you have a small business, large business, personal event, or wedding, we are available to plan and coordinate your dream event to life. Every detail, every step, Looking Glass Events is working with you all the way. Call us at 315-702-4653. That's 315-702-4653. Or contact us through our website, lgweddingsandevents.com. Looking Glass Events, giving you a reason to celebrate.
The Penn and Trophy Center on 111 East Willow Street in Syracuse, New York, has been making memories for Central New York for over 60 years. It has the trophies for your teams, and when you walk in there, it's so much more than just that. When you walk into the Penn and Trophy Center, you are immersed in the reality that anything can be customized, anything can be engraved, whether it's for your anniversary, your wedding, your bar mitzvah, your birthday party, whatever you want to do with that memory, that watch from grandpa, or that bracelet from mom, or that wedding ring that's been passed down through your family. If you want to get something engraved with a memory to last a lifetime, the Penn and Trophy Center, 111 East Willow Street in Syracuse, New York, where memories are made and where memories last a lifetime. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. The road to the NCAA Tournament champion for men's Division I college basketball begins in Dayton, Ohio, and that is exactly where Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is today. Live from Dayton, Ohio, on location, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora broadcasting to you on wakeupcalldt.com and directly on the live stream, mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. It is such an honor and such a privilege, and I haven't said this to any of you this morning on the show until right now, but this is our 50th show of 2018. So we're sitting here on March 14th, and we've already hit 50 shows. We did over 200 last year on the live line here on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. We've done over 1,000 shows in my career, 15 years of being a broadcaster. Over 1,000 people have graced the stage, and we just added a bunch more today with Radford and St. Bonnies. So it has been amazing, and I can't think of a better way to spend my 50th show, marquee show of 2018, halfway to 100 already, and we're not even through 3 months. And that is to have this show with one of my best friends, somebody who I consider my brother, and that's Ross Turetsky. We do a thing called The Drive with a capital D and a capital R for Dan and Ross, and our drive to the NCAA tournament all the way through from the round of 64 to the national champion and what we think the score is going to be. Ross and I do this every year. We've been doing this for a long time, and we're back at it today, and we're doing it live, this time for the first time ever, live from Dayton, Ohio. I got Ross on the phone. He's going to unveil his bracket. I'm going to unveil mine. We're going to go piece by piece together. So we'll go, I'll do the South, he'll do the South, and then the Midwest for the both of us. And so we'll have each of us kind of give our reasoning and our purpose for why we picked who we picked, and then we'll put them up against each other and see just how many we have the same or how many are different. So with that being said, happy 50th show to Wake Up Call, and welcome to one of the greatest people on earth, Ross Turetsky, sports writer for Northeast Pennsylvania, and one of the best people that God has put into my life. Ross, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well, buddy. Thanks for having me on. And can you feel the madness? March Madness is upon us. We had two very good games last night, two more today in Dayton, Ohio, including your Syracuse Orange. I'm hoping they can come through against Arizona State. A lot of doubters out there, but it's the best time of the year. I know there was a lot of NCAA scandals with people that giving money to who knows who, and people are like saying the one and done rule and college basketball's broken. Well, all that could be true, but come March Madness, that seems to all go out the window because it's still the most exciting time of the year and probably the best 2.5 to 3 weeks that we're going to have in sports between all these exciting games, the buzzer beaters, the Cinderella, the upsets, and it really just makes it exciting. And by the time that's done, we got baseball back, we got hockey and basketball going into the playoffs, and that baseball starting up for the season. Football free agency starts today, so this really kicks off. March Madness really kicks off an exciting time to be a sports fan, to be alive in the sports world, and a nice distraction for all the craziness out there in the world with the Kim Jong-uns and all the other insanity that we hear every day. It's definitely a treat to just sit down and watch a lot of exciting basketball games and have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's it's funny because for the next few weeks we will see who will move through this bracket and be crowned the national champion, only to maybe have the NCAA take it away 10 years from now. So, it's...
Louisville 5 years ago, 2013 banner has been stripped away, so yeah, you never know now.
It's crazy, but yeah, it's March Madness, and I would venture to say, and I said it at the beginning of the season, just a couple games into the season, that March Madness started a lot early, kind of started in January this year, and there's been some agreement to that because there's been these teams that on paper aren't supposed to defeat these other teams, and it has happened already. And then we see, St. Bonaventure continuing their run, 26 wins this season, 26-7 after winning in the first 4 games that I covered between St. Bonaventure and UCLA. 26 wins in a single season is a record for the school. Ross, before we go anywhere, just what you could say about, we're inside of the first 4. I'm here in Dayton, Ohio at the University of Dayton. Radford, 16 seed, took down 16-seeded LIU Brooklyn. So Radford will face number 1 Villanova. And then UCLA lost to St. Bonaventure, and that 11 seed of St. Bonnies will go on and face number 6 Florida. And then we have Syracuse fighting with Arizona State for the right to move forward in the NCAA tournament as an 11 seed to go up against the 6-seeded TCU and Jamie Dixon, who used to be over at Pittsburgh, that had Syracuse's number more often than not when he was there. And then, of course, we have the NC Central Texas Southern 16-seed matchup in the first 4, who will earn the right to play number 1 Xavier. Just what you could say about, this first 4, the play-in games, and knowing that there's already been some excitement. Radford and LIU Brooklyn went back and forth, and St. Bonnie's dictated the pace for even when they were down for 40 minutes of this game, they were never really truly out of anything, and it was an amazing game to watch.
Yeah, I was very proud of St. Bonaventure. With a newborn baby, she's now 8 months old, I almost passed out a few times on that game because for me, I'm an old guy now. I feel like the oldest 31-year-old out there. I was about to go sleepy night early, but the game captivated me. I stayed up. I smacked myself awake a few times, chugged some mints and some Red Bull, and I stayed up for the rest of that game. And I kept thinking UCLA kept coming at them, and it looked like, oh, maybe they're the more talented team. They're definitely the team with the more of the championship pedigree, with the John Wooden years and all that greatness. And, of course, they had the insane scandal with when they visited China, and Lonzo Ball's other kid, one of his other 3 kids, who briefly was on UCLA and then got thrown off the team for the alleged shoplifting and all that craziness. And they were a solid team, UCLA, and you just thought, oh, eventually that talent will take over. I was very impressed with the blue-collar nature of St. Bonaventure. They just kept working it. They just wouldn't go away. No matter what UCLA would do to them, no matter how much more talented UCLA might be than them. St. Bonaventure, just the team cohesiveness of them, and I just really enjoyed watching. When you watch a team go all at it, and it's almost like that little underdog, little engine that could, that you're like, oh, there's no way this team, if they have maybe like a best-of-7 series like the NBA, most of the time you're not going to knock off a Golden State Warriors 4 out of 7 games when you don't have as much talent. But St. Bonaventure, with what they had, they worked together well, and I just really loved the team play they did. They were physical. They got the job done, and I was just excited to see them pull it out. Got a nice win, and we'll see what they could do now in this tournament. But I was very impressed. They got a nice win over UCLA, and I thought that was cool how they told you during your interviews and post-game press conferences that you're a Bonnie now, an honorary St. Bonaventure guy now. And the other playing games are exciting as well. I'm glad it's not what it used to be, where it was just 16 seeds and they're going to get, sacrificial lamb, get destroyed and go take the number 1 seed on. Now they have seeds like 11 seed, a 12 seed. They have high, back-end seeds that are not just the bottom feeders. They have some decent teams that are in this thing. USC, St. John's, Syracuse, and UCLA, and all those teams that in the past, when they first started, I didn't like it that they would just go right to like a number 16 seed, and there were basically 2 mediocre teams that barely got in, and then they were going to get destroyed. So I'm much better with this system. And then I think with Syracuse, it's exciting. I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of haters who they don't belong here. Well, they did what they had to do. And it's a hit or miss. Even you're a guy who definitely loves your Syracuse Orange. But last year they fell short, didn't get in. And NIT was kind of a lackluster afterthought. People, they're so used to winning at Syracuse, they didn't know what to think with the NIT. And I'm excited to get to go to the tournament. They had, as much as the Doug Gottliebs and the ESPN, all those experts who seem to hate on them all the time. Yes, a lot of times they play an easy schedule at the beginning of the season and they stay in upstate New York a lot. But you got to think about it. They're in the best conference in basketball in the ACC. They get challenged throughout the year. They had a few big-time wins when there's other teams that have beaten no one, and then they still expect to get in. So I was happy Syracuse got in. They have that pedigree. They're going to have a built-in fan base. We're going to travel well. Jim Boeheim in the NCAA tournament is what should happen throughout the years, and you love to see them there. So now what we want to see is what they can do. I think that they actually have a decent shot tonight. I saw a lot of doubters picking Arizona State to beat them. I think they can win this, and then they can beat TCU, and then who knows, if they play Michigan State in round 2, anything is on the table. And just to say this, I also love that we're back to calling these. They're more like playing games when they want to call first 4, because it would screw up the whole order calling this the first round and then Thursday and Friday were round 2. Let's be honest, the tournament really kicks off with the first round come Thursday at 12 o'clock. Remember back in the day when you were in school, buddy, when if your teacher was nice enough and you behaved, she'd put on the games right during the school day, and it felt like the greatest thing ever. It felt like summer vacation came early, or spring break. So we were excited about that. So 12 o'clock Thursday, when the brackets are due to come in, that's when the tournament really kicks off in the first round. I'm glad they called that the first round again. So we're very excited about that. But, yeah, these playing games, these first 4, they're very, very exciting games. I'm glad you're getting a chance to cover them. You do a good job, a great job throughout the years covering them. And I just think it's exciting. They're on neutral ground, Dayton, Ohio, so anything can happen. And you get a true testament over who can win every given day, any given Sunday, as they would say in football. Anyone can win in a one-and-done tournament. And I like that they're on neutral courts. They're not with any home court advantage for the most part, besides the built-in fan bases who travel better. And I just like that. I think that it's going to be a good testament of who's the better team, who wants it more. And I think that Syracuse is a team though that could be dangerous. A team like them is dangerous. St. Bonaventure is dangerous. Teams that get in, you don't think much of them, but they're dangerous if they can get in. And then with LIU and Radford, Radford hadn't won a tournament game in God knows how long. It's been many time. I don't know if they hadn't won one before this. And LIU Brooklyn, that's actually where my dad, he went to school. He's an alumnus there. So they're excited every time they get in the tournament. But the Blackbirds got knocked out. And we'll see. Radford, no matter what, Radford has a tournament win, counts as a tournament win, and March Madness has begun. So, buddy, I'm glad to kick off another year of the drive with you.
Absolutely. And you know, droughts were ended for both sides here, which is absolutely insane. I mean, it was a 48-year drought for St. Bonaventure. The last time that they had done it was back in 1970. So we look at, you know, how huge that was for St. Bonnies and, you know, just what they did in this game, and you know, to break that mold and get that opportunity to do what they've done. And you know, then a team like Radford, I mean, you look at how they've waited and waited and waited and waited for the opportunity, and finally got their first ever NCAA tournament win, which is massive. So Radford had never had an NCAA tournament win, and St. Bonnie's hadn't had one for 48 years, and I got to see them both back-to-back here in Dayton, Ohio, in my first ever trip to Dayton. So, you know, it's been a great start to the tournament, to say the least, and, you know, it's been amazing, and I feel like it will only continue on with the upcoming games that we have. So with that being said, Ross and I are going to, as Ross said, you know, the true first round is the first round, and I am happy too that they have made the change to this, that we're not calling the first round the second round and the second round the this and this and that, you know, that there's the first four and that there's the final four. And I feel that the NCAA didn't make any mistakes with this. You know, the Final Four is known all over the world, so then you get the first four in, and all of a sudden it has more of a, you know, illustrious name. It's more prominent. It's more shiny. The first four, the Final Four, the beginning, the end, the ebb, the flow. So, you know, the alpha and the omega, so to speak. So it's kind of cool to see, you know, how they've rebranded that and what they've done for that, because the truth of the matter is the first four are the first four games where teams are playing in for their right to be in the tournament. And then once the tournament begins, when everybody is seated and it's all done and there's no play-in games, that's when, you know, the first round really begins. So it's nice to have the first round not be the second round anymore, and I think the first four was good branding.
It was very confusing. So I'm glad they went back to what it should have been all along, because it was messing me up. And I know as a lot of fans, it just didn't make sense. Round one begins Thursday at noon, and we're pumped for it. And I love Thursday and Friday are probably my two favorite days of the tournament, just because it's from 12 noon all the way past midnight. You got over 12 hours of basketball each day, all day long, all night long, and that's to me, and that's usually the most upsets happen in the first 2 days of the tournament in round one. So I'm looking forward to see who's going to put on that Cinderella glass slipper, who will fit into the slipper. Yeah,
that's where I like to, you know, put the, you know, get on the couch, grab a blanket, and just sit there and get my popcorn ready, so to speak. So with that being said, you know, it's my favorite part of the tournament because there's 32 games, 64 teams, and like Ross said, on Thursday it's noon to midnight, and on Friday it's noon to midnight. I would love if every round could be that long, but then we'd be playing basketball forever, but a part of me is okay with that. So with that being said, we're going to get into our bracket breakdown with Ross Turetsky. And Ross, as always, I appreciate the drive with you, DR, for Dan and Ross inside of the drive. We're going to start in the South bracket. We're going to go south to the west and then east to the Midwest. We're going to just do the round of 64, and then we'll address it and come back. So we're going to bring you through each round, and then we're going to hit it from there. So the round of 64, 32, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, National Championship. So, Ross, let's go down the South bracket. I'm going to let you run through your bracket in the South for the round of 64, who's going to advance through each one of those games, and then I will give mine. So who do you have advancing? Bring me to each matchup. We'll start with Virginia, UMBC, and we'll end with Cincinnati, Georgia State.
Well, yeah, definitely got no 16 seed has ever beat a 1 seed. I don't see it happening probably ever, but I definitely don't see it happening here. Virginia's hot. They won that ACC tournament in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center that you saw and covered last week. I'm going to definitely go with Virginia in that game. And then what we got in the second game, we got Creighton and Kansas State. I'm going to go with Kansas State to win that one. That's kind of a toss-up matchup. Both have had success in the past in the tournament. You kind of have to just throw that up there. And then we got Kentucky, a 5 seed,
which I know John Calipari is always kind of complaining and whining, why don't we get any respect like Rodney Dangerfield? But I'm like, they get plenty of respect, and he also has done a lot of allegedly shady things in the past and gotten wins and tournament, Final Fours taken away throughout. So he should be happy with all his one and dones. They have success. They're a 5 seed. They're going to knock off Davidson, even though it's a tough one because 5 versus 12 seeds, that's where a lot of the upsets happen. Those 12 seeds usually knock off the 5 seeds. But I think Kentucky, they're young, of course, because they have so much NBA talent with these one-and-done guys. But I think they have too much talent on the court to lose this game. So I'm going to go with them. I'm going to have Arizona win their game. I think as much as their controversy has been going with Arizona, where Sean Miller, I'm not even 100% sure if he's going to be allowed to coach these games because of what the FBI wiretapped him and allegedly was offered $100,000 for his top player. They're letting the top player play, which is kind of weird that they're going to roll the dice and let him play. And God knows what the future of that program is. All these wins could be wiped right out. But Arizona has a lot of talent, so they're going to definitely win theirs. And then we were talking about this the other day. I really like, in the next matchup, Loyola Chicago to advance in their matchup. I just think that they're a team that is hot. You got to give a lot of respect to these teams that maybe they're not the household names, the Duke or North Carolinas, but I think you got to give the ups for if a team comes in red hot. I think that definitely is an advantage here because you give a chance to believe that you can win these games, and if you're red hot, you might not know enough that you're not really supposed to make it far in this tournament. And I really like teams that are coming in a hot streak and not limping their way into this tournament. I'm going with Loyola Chicago to win their first round game. Tennessee will win theirs. And then on the bottom half of the bracket, I'm going to go with Texas to win their game and Cincinnati to win theirs. So those will be my picks for the first round in the South bracket.
So that, coming from Ross Turetsky, in my South bracket, I'm going to start things off with Virginia over UMBC. I have Virginia winning this game. They came into this tournament having won the ACC tournament after winning the regular season title in the ACC. They're a tough out for anyone with their frustrating and disciplined style. I am picking Virginia. In the 8-9 matchup, Creighton and Kansas State. You know, I always said when you go for Creighton, they lose. When you go against them, they win. But I'm picking Creighton in this one. They seem to always be the scary choice in the NCAA tournament. They lost 5 of their last 8 games, including a loss to number 1 seeded Xavier of the West bracket. But they did defeat Villanova down the stretch. Kansas State is 5-10 versus teams that are currently in the NCAA tournament. So I am going to go with Creighton in this game to pull off at least this victory before they lose to Virginia. Kentucky, number 5 seed against number 12 seeded Davidson. Hard part for me was the thought that Davidson could maybe pull this game off. I went back and forth with this for a while. But Kentucky is hard to pass up when you see them on any seed line in the NCAA tournament. Davidson defeated top 25 Rhode Island twice in the last 4 games, including to win the Atlantic 10 tournament. They also hold a 2-1 record this season against St. Bonnie's inside the A10. Both teams averaging approximately 77 points per game. Davidson allows a few less points per game to their opponent. Senior forward Peyton Aldridge, 21.5 points and 7.8 rebounds per contest with Davidson. This game may be closer than Kentucky fans might feel comfortable with, but ultimately I'm going to give the slight edge to Kentucky, and I may regret doing this because in the pit of my stomach I keep going back and forth, but I'm going to say Kentucky squeaks by. Number 4, Arizona. Number 13, Buffalo. Well, Arizona's not going to have to worry about giving up their NCAA tournament wins in 2018 because they're not going to have any. DeAndre Ayton comes in averaging a double-double at 20.3 points per game and 11.5 rebounds per game for Arizona, but Buffalo is no team to overlook. This game will be high-scoring, and the running of the Bulls may be too powerful for the Wildcats in a weak Pac-12 this season. My pick is 13-seeded Buffalo. Number 6, Miami, Florida against number 11, Loyola Chicago. Miami went 11-7 in the ACC regular season in the toughest conference in college basketball. Loyola Chicago comes into the game on a 10-0 run, 10 games in a row, and 17 of their last 18. Coming in hot, I am also, like Ross, picking Loyola of Chicago. Number 3, Tennessee against number 14, Wright State. Tennessee advanced to the Southeastern Conference Tournament finale and fell to Kentucky by 5. They're 8-7 this season against teams that are in the current NCAA tournament. Look for Tennessee to take this one from Wright State. Number 7, Nevada taking on number 10, Texas. Baffled is a word to describe a response to Texas getting into the NCAA tournament this year. For some odd reason, the committee loved the Big 12 so much that they let in almost every single team in the conference.
Nevada on the other side of this matchup is 4-4 versus teams currently in the NCAA tournament with a 1-2 record against San Diego State, which obviously affects their record. You take that out, and they're 3-2 overall. So, you just look at what this team has done up to this point. Nevada has something to prove against a team that somehow not only made it into the tournament, but did it outside of a play-in game despite having a 19-14 record. I like Shaka Smart. I like what he did with VCU, but I just don't think Texas should have been in. I think they should have been maybe a number 1 seed in the NIT. I'm picking Nevada because they still have something to prove in this season. Cincinnati, number 2 against number 15, Georgia State. Cincinnati did what they needed to do in the closing moments to take care of the American Athletic Conference Tournament title match, and they should take care of this matchup. My pick is Cincinnati. So through this, most of the picks, Ross and I have had the same up to this point. I want to go into our West bracket in the West region and what you have for the round of 64, Ross.
Yeah, the West, I'm definitely going with top seeded Xavier. I just really like them throughout the year. They've been a solid team. Did a great job in the Big East tournament and throughout. I just think Xavier is just a red-hot team doing a great job and a very physical, very fundamentally sound team. They're going to run through their bracket in the first round very easily with the 1-16 matchup. I'm going to go with Florida State, an ACC school, to pull off a nice win in the 8-9 matchup. Like I said, we've said throughout the show, they'll be playing Missouri. I think ACC is the toughest conference in basketball. If you get through it, I know a lot of teams are like, oh, they take too many ACC teams. They used to say that about the Big East. But it's the toughest conference. You got to give any respect to any team that can survive that gauntlet of games. I think they're going to win their first-round matchup pretty handily. I'm going to go with Ohio State to win their 5 versus 12 matchup. Ohio State coming out of the Big Ten, a physical ball club. I know Penn State, locally living in Pennsylvania, they gave Ohio State trouble throughout the year. I think beat them 2 or 3 times. But I think Ohio State is going to definitely win their matchup. Gonzaga, who was always the Cinderella team that could, finally got to a championship game a year ago. But Gonzaga, I think, is going to make a nice run again. So I'm glad they finally got off that Elite Eight hump, and they finally were able to get to the Final Four in a championship game. Came close to beating North Carolina last year for the title, and now they're no longer quite the Cinderella team. Mark Few has had Gonzaga in the tournament for 20 years in a row. Gonzaga has now become an established team, even though they're from a weak conference. And St. Mary's, who was second in that conference, ended up not getting in the tournament, which I know a lot of fans were disappointed with. But they don't play a lot of big-time teams. But Gonzaga is tournament-tested. They will easily win their matchup in the 4 versus 13 matchup. And then I'm going to have San Diego State win their matchup. They've had success throughout the tournament, and even though they're a bottom seed here, I think San Diego State, you got to pick some upsets in the first round. I think they are definitely a team that could pull off a big upset here. Michigan won their back-to-back Big Ten titles. For some reason, they had it at Madison Square Garden. Their excuse was Rutgers, who stinks at basketball and all sports. They play New Jersey in the New York tri-state area, so that's why they had it in New York City, even though you'd think you'd have it more in the Midwest, where most of the Big Ten Big Ten teams are. But Michigan won again, back-to-back years, the Big Ten title. They're a team that I'm going to predict to go really deep in this tournament. I mean, to almost the very end here. And I think Michigan Wolverines in basketball, they're getting it done. They're going to win their first round matchup pretty handily. I just like the team. They're on fire. As you said, you got to give a lot of credit to a team coming in red hot. They're definitely not limping into this. I like teams that won their conference championships and playing well throughout the year, both regular season and tournament, not just getting hot during the tournament, during their conference tournament. And then Providence, who almost was able to pull off the upset, beating Villanova for the Big Ten Big East title, got it to overtime, lost by 10 points. But Providence plays tough defense, rebounds well. Providence, I think, is going to be a tough out in this tournament. They're going to definitely win their game against Texas and A&M. And then we're going to have, for the last one, have North Carolina easily winning their matchup, defend the national champions. They made it to the national title 2 years in a row, lost to Villanova 2 years ago, and then redeemed themselves last year, win the title. Roy Williams in North Carolina, they're not the perfect team. They had times struggled. They lost to Virginia for the ACC title, as you covered, but North Carolina has so much firepower. I think they're going to make a nice run in this tournament, so look out for them. And in the end, a lot of times, you got to enjoy the first couple of days of the tournament, because in the end, you're going to probably see the Dukes and North Carolinas of the world probably make it deep again, and you're like, what's new? But That's why these first few days I'm looking for upsets. I haven't been able to find many. In that South bracket, I found Loyola, Chicago Loyola, and I'm going to go with San Diego State to pull off an upset in this bracket. But I'm looking for those upsets. I'm trying to go out on a limb and win my bracket, but we'll see what happens. But in the end, though, a lot of the top-tier teams I think are going to – the cream will rise to the top. But that's why we're looking hopefully for excited upsets. And as much as I hope I get my bracket right, I kind of will get thrilled if I actually get some of these wrong, because I'm hoping that we're going to have some buzzer beaters that will shock and probably tear up everyone's bracket by the end of Friday night.
Yeah, speaking here with Ross Turetsky, a great friend of mine and a sports writer out of Pennsylvania. You're listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, live on location in Dayton, Ohio. We are covering the first four. We covered St. Bonaventure's win over UCLA and Radford's win over LIU Brooklyn. We have Arizona State and Syracuse, 11 seeds, coming up for the right to play 6-seeded TCU, as well as 16 seeds NC Central and Texas Southern with the right to play number 1 Xavier in the West region, all coming up here from Dayton, Ohio. And I'm going to start there with my picks in the round of 64 in the West region. Number 1 Xavier, whoever wins this game for NC Central and Texas Southern. I know that Xavier may not be the strongest 1 seed in this year's tournament, but they should have no trouble getting past this game. And so I am going with NC State to move, I'm going with Xavier to move on in this number 1 matchup against their 16 seed. Number 8, Missouri against number 9, Florida State. Florida State struggled in their first game of the ACC tournament versus Louisville, who didn't make the NCAA tournament. Both teams had an up-and-down season, and the roller coaster that is Florida State is about to bump into Missouri and Michael Porter Jr. I do believe that Missouri is going to get at least 1 win, and it's going to be this one. Ohio State, number 5 seed, going up against number 12, South Dakota State. That's right, folks. I own a South Dakota State Jackrabbits shirt, and I will be wearing this shirt proudly. They score about 85 points per game and allow approximately 10 points less per game to their opponents, who head into the NCAA tournament on an 11-game winning streak. Ohio State split with Michigan and has big wins over Michigan State and Purdue, but went 0-3 against a Penn State team that did not make this year's NCAA tournament. My upset, 12-seeded South Dakota State. Number 4 seeded Gonzaga going up against 13 seeded UNC Greensboro. Gonzaga is coming off of attaining a spot in the NCAA Tournament Championship game. They return Jeremy Jones, Silas Melson, as well as Jonathan Williams, Josh Perkins, and Killian Tilley from that title matchup, and are primed to move on. Despite being in the middle of the bracket as a 4 seed, Gonzaga, I think, still has the opportunity to go far in this thing. Number 6, Houston up against number 11, San Diego State. I wanted to pick Houston in this game because they pushed Cincinnati to the brink in the American Athletic Conference Tournament Championship game, losing by a point 56-53 or 55, and they've won 10 of their last 12 games. But San Diego State is doing well down the stretch as well. On a 9-0 run, this matchup could go either way, but one side has to get the vote, and San Diego State's offense gets the slight edge from me as an 11 seed beating a 6 seed at Houston, which could be the new 5 versus 12, where you don't want to be the higher seed. Michigan, number 3 seed up against number 14 Montana. Michigan could have arguably had a 2 seed, but it was saved for the reputation of Duke, in my opinion. Michigan, coming off of a Big Ten Conference Tournament Championship, should move forward in that game. Number 7, Texas A&M, and number 10, Providence. This one is really, really difficult for me. Texas A&M faced an Alabama team that was pesky as the season went on, losing to them 2 out of 3 times. Providence was one of those pesky teams who happened to advance to the Big East tournament title game versus Villanova, forcing eventual 1 seed at Villanova to have to defeat them in overtime. So Texas A&M's proven that when they go up against a pesky team that's doing well late in the season, they're not winning. And that was against Alabama, and now they got Providence. Well, doesn't look any better for Texas A&M. I look for Providence to win this one. And North Carolina up against Lipscomb, the 2 versus the 15. North Carolina is a team that surges at this time of the year, and they may very well find their way to the inroads of this region. My pick is North Carolina in this bracket. So for the left side of the bracket, as it stands right now, Ross and I have only had 4 picks that have been different. Now, we don't see each other's bracket going into the drive, which Ross and I utilize as our special segment on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to unveil our bracket, the drive with DR, Dan, and Ross. We do this every year. We never see each other's bracket until we announce it live on the show. So, as of right now, as it stands, Ross, you and I on the left side of the bracket in the South and in the West have only disagreed 4 times, and it's been twice in the South and twice in the West. So, doing these brackets separately, we are kind of on the same terms at this point.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Like I some of the ones even that you went that we I would like to say great minds think alike. As close friends, but one of those things that I could have went either way on some of those picks. Some of the ones I will even admit, some of them I'm very confident about with my picks. Others I'm kind of grasping at straws because I know that there'll be upsets. So I'm just trying to be able to guess the right upset because sometimes it could be a tipped-in ball, it could be a shot at the end of the game, a buzzer beater, and you have no idea. So that's why I'm just kind of looking for buzzer beaters and for upsets. I almost went with the Ohio State upset like you did. I almost wanted to go with Davidson to beat Kentucky, but then I'm like, Kentucky has too much talent. There was a few there, and like I said, a lot of people go nuts for Penn State here, mainly for football in Pennsylvania, but basketball, beat Ohio State 3 times. That gave me a lot of cause for the pause to worry about Ohio State, what they could do here, but in the end, I picked them anyway. And by the way, a lot of people here locally are pumped because it's NIT basketball tonight because they're going to host Temple Owls tonight. Temple versus Penn State, NIT basketball tonight. So if you don't want to watch all NCAA tournament games, you can check out an all-Pennsylvania bragging rights matchup tonight on ESPN.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we head to the other side of the bracket from the South and the West, which we've done, now we head to the right side of your bracket, and that is the East side that we're going to start with here, the upper right part. If you have not joined the Wake Up Call Bracket Challenge, you can go to the Yahoo Tourney Pick'em, and you can click on Find a Group, and Wake Up Call is in the top 50. You can click on us there. You'll see the Syracuse logo. You can also search Wake Up Call, 3 separate words, or you can go on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT and look for the link there, as well as on Twitter @CallDT and follow the link. We are Group 9345. 9345. So make sure you sign up. Almost 230 people have signed up at this point this morning, and you have until noon to sign up and have your bracket set and ready to go. Noon on Thursday, March 15th. So make sure you do it now, and that is noon Eastern time. The East bracket, Ross, we'll start with Villanova, and now we know Radford's going to be facing them. What do you have there?
I'm definitely going Villanova, 1 seed. A lot of people think this might be the most experienced. The toughest out for any of the teams is to knock out Villanova. As much as I'm kind of a little jaded on Villanova because I'm so high on them last year, they won the national title in 2016 after a 31-year drought, after not winning since '85. I was so pumped. I think Jay Wright and a lot of the returning starters were going to come back and win it back-to-back titles, which is very rare. Nowadays, you don't see much of that. And then Villanova kind of got knocked out fairly early in the tournament last year. So it blew up my bracket, and it kind of made me a little cautious and a little bit worried to pick the team. But, hey, it's just like a lot of people looking for love. I'm going right back in. I'm putting all my cards on the table, and I'm going to go pick Villanova to go deep in this tournament. As much as my mind is telling me, maybe you should think that over twice. But Villanova, so much talent, won the Big East Championship once again. Jay Wright has a whole bunch of guys returning from his squad from a year ago, and from 2 years ago, they even have some guys from that championship team. And I think just Villanova and that wave of the city, Philadelphia, is so pumped in championship craze now that the Eagles finally have won a Super Bowl, and the Flyers in hockey and the Philadelphia 76ers in basketball trying to recruit LeBron James with billboards and everything. Philly just seems to be in a wave of winning, and I think Villanova is going to definitely be ready to go deep into this tournament. I'm going to go with Villanova easily, of course, winning their first round game against Radford, but at least I'd like to give Radford credit. They won a game over LIU, counts as a tournament win, and now they get, see if anyone will ever shock the world. I don't know about you, buddy, but do you ever see a time when a 16 seed is going to knock off a 1 seed? I don't see it happening here, but if it ever happened, it'd be one of the biggest stories ever in this tournament's history.
Yeah, I always said this. I was like, if you want to see a 16 take down a 1, make Michigan State a 16 seed with Tom Izzo and let him go after it, because it doesn't matter where you seed Michigan State. They always seem to find a way, most of the time, to move themselves forward. They have their times here, there, and everywhere, but typically they find a way. Number 1 seeds are 132 wins and 0 losses against 16 seeds, but teams like Bradley and Albany and whatnot. They made things very interesting, and we know that 15 seeds can knock off 2s, and Syracuse fans know that it can happen with the Richmond Spiders. So, and Michigan State knows that just a couple years ago it happened with Middle Tennessee. So, for me, eventually a 16 seed will do it, but it's when they dedicate that 16 seed to what I think should be potentially an at-large team, make them have to play in that situation. I love the 8-9 matchups because by just sheer numbers, they're supposed to be the closest ones, and these are the ones that literally are like 73-71, 85-82, 86-84. I mean, these are the games that literally are extremely tight. So I want to go to Virginia Tech and Alabama in the East bracket, and then Ross, go all the way down to Purdue playing CSU Fullerton and what you have in the East.
Yeah, this was a tough matchup. Virginia Tech, ACC team, battle-tested, a solid team. I would love to see them go deep in this tournament just because I think that they have the ability, if they can get past this game, to maybe make a run. They seem to be ready to go for a job to do that. But I'm going to actually go with a slight upset. I'm going to go with Alabama, the 9th seed, which some people didn't think deserved to even get in the tournament. They have what everyone thinks is going to be a future lottery NBA draft pick come this June. They have a star player on their team who could put up some big points. I just think Alabama, coming out of the ACC, not the ACC, the SEC, I think Alabama, I know they're known for football, Nick Saban, and this isn't football, this is basketball, but I think Alabama has enough firepower. They're going to keep the game close. As long as they keep it close here, I think with the top player and one of the best players in college basketball, just like Trae Young, as much as people didn't want Oklahoma to get in, you want to put butts in the seats. You put some of the star players in. You sell merchandise. As much as college basketball doesn't want to admit that, you get to sell a lot of merchandise, make a lot of money off these guys. And these star players, let's see if they can rise to the top at the end of these games. I think if they keep it close, I think Alabama is going to knock off Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech, their nice season will come to an end. Then we're going to go with Murray State. I'm going to go with my first 12 seed and knock them for 5. Murray State's had some success in this tournament in the past. I know it's definitely I'm kind of gambling here, but I'm going to say they're going to knock off West Virginia. They'll find a way to do it. West Virginia, a very talented team. Definitely more physical, better team probably overall, but this is not like an NBA playoff best of 7 series. This is one and done. I'm going to go with Murray State, 12 seed to knock off a 5. Then I'm going to go with Wichita State. I'm going to go with them to knock off Marshall. Marshall's been more known for football, and they have a really good movie, We Are Marshall, with about the plane crash. And they had to replace basically the whole team after a lot of fatalities in that plane crash back in the 70s. And Matthew McConaughey's in it, Matthew Fox, all that. Marshall's mostly known for football. They had Chad Pennington, Randy Moss. Was 1AA, now they're 1A. They finally made it to the tournament, first time in a long time. It's nice they got to the tournament, but I don't see them doing much in this. Wichita State has the tournament pedigree. They've won a lot of games in this tournament. They've gone deep in this tournament. I'm going to go with Wichita State to win big over Marshall. Then Florida, they're a flawed team, but I think as flawed as they are, I think Florida's going to win their game over St. Bonaventure. St. Bonaventure's had a nice run. I like that they're that solid, cohesive team that could pull off another upset. They knocked off UCLA last night, so anything is possible. But I think the Florida Gators would be a big letdown if they got knocked out by St. Bonaventure. I think St. Bonaventure's going to give them a run for their money. I think it will be close, but I think they win by about 5. I think going with the Florida Gators to win that game. Then we're going to go with Texas Tech. I think they're going to beat Stephen F. Austin. Texas Tech, I think they're a solid team. They're going to have some scoring firepower, and I think Texas Tech will win that game pretty well. Then we're going to have a pretty cool matchup right here. We're going to have Butler versus Arkansas. It's an interesting one. I know it's a 7-10 match. Arkansas is actually the team with the better seed, but Butler, I know Brad Stevens is out the building. He's no longer the Butler Bulldogs coach. He coaches with the Boston Celtics and Gordon Hayward. When he ever gets back from his injury from opening night, I'm sure they'll be pretty good with Kyrie Irving and company. But Butler has the experience. They pulled off the upsets before. They've gone to national championship games, Final Fours. I know it's not the same thing every year, but Butler's confident. They know how to win in this tournament, and I think Butler's going to knock off Arkansas from the SEC for the bigger conference. I'm going with Butler to win and pull off a nice upset over there. Then the last matchup I'm going to go with Purdue. Purdue almost won the Big Ten title, very physical squad, and I just think Purdue is going to be able to have their way with Cal State Fullerton, and I'm going to go with Purdue to pull off a nice win there. And definitely, in my mind, that will be more of a blowout. But I'm going with Butler to win a close game and Wichita State to win big. But Murray State, in my bracket, the biggest upset will definitely be Murray State to knock off West Virginia. So I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, and I finally picked my first 12 seed over a 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And for my side of the East region, with a little bit under a half an hour to go, as Ross and I are unveiling our entire brackets, I'll make this one quick. In the East region, Radford, it was fun to see them, fun to interview them. And I feel like, they're going up against Villanova. They're going to be in Pittsburgh. I got Villanova winning this one. Number 8, Virginia Tech. Number 9, Alabama. It's hard to go against Alabama right now, so I'm not going to do that. Alabama moves on. West Virginia and Murray State, the 5 versus the 12, has come to be known as dangerous territory. Murray State does not have a single win against a team in the current NCAA tournament, and the notion that they will get one in this game is unlikely. I am going with West Virginia. Wichita State and Marshall, number 4-seeded Wichita State, 13th-seeded Marshall. Wichita State did not advance to the American Athletic Conference Tournament Championship in their first season in the conference, but they did go 14-4, joining the AAC, showing that they could be relevant the first year that they jumped to higher of a conference, when you look at Power 6, so to speak, with no disrespect to where they were in the Missouri Valley. 25-7 overall. I have Wichita State in this game. Number 6, Florida State. Number 11, St. Bonaventure. I'm going with the Bonnies. I think that, or not Florida State, number 6, Florida against number 11, St. Bonaventure. I got the Bonnies. They had a strong and respectable season already before coming into the first 4. Their playing game over UCLA showed that they can make it happen. And UCLA not too long ago played Florida in the national championship. I think Bonnies is going to beat 2 of the teams, both of the teams that were in that national championship, back-to-back, and I got St. Bonnies in this one. Number 3, Texas Tech, and number 14, Stephen F. Austin. Texas Tech in this one. Stephen F. Austin, I know that they've done some things in recent years, like a couple of years ago, but I have Texas Tech moving on. Arkansas and Butler, the SEC, the committee really liked them, but Butler is never the team you want to bet against, and they're usually good for at least one win. I have Butler. And Purdue against Cal State Fullerton. I've been a fan of Purdue. They've been coming up this season. I'm going with Purdue. Midwest region, Ross, let's go through it quick. What do you got?
Midwest region, going to go with Kansas, number 1 seed over Penn. Everyone here is excited that the Ivy League school Penn has won their Ivy League conference this year, but Kansas Jayhawks, you're not going to take Bill Self and Kansas down. Kansas wins that easily. Then we're going to go with NC State, knocking off Seton Hall, ACC team. I think they're just the more talented, better equipped team to go make a little run in this tournament. We're going to go with Clemson, a big-time ACC school, the toughest conference in all of college basketball. They're going to knock off New Mexico State. We're going to have Auburn winning their game against Charleston in a 4 versus 13 matchup. Auburn, I think, is just a much better team, and I think they will blow them out. Then I'm going to have, it's the 6 versus 11 matchup. TCU versus, I'm going to go with Syracuse to win tonight versus Arizona State. I'm going to go with Syracuse to knock off TCU and get to that second round game against Michigan State. Because Michigan State, as much as people locally in Lewisburg, Bucknell University, people are locally rooting for Bucknell. They won their conference. They're usually a tough out. They've knocked off Kansas and other teams before in this tournament. They can pull off an upset, but I don't see Tom Izzo and Michigan State, who seem to every year be contending for the Final Four, whether they had a good year or not in the regular season. They know how to win in this tournament. Michigan State is not going to fall down to Bucknell. Michigan State wins big over Bucknell. We're going to go with Oklahoma to actually win a game in this tournament. A lot of people don't think they belong in this tournament. Trae Young, the superstar who might be one of the top picks in the NBA draft come June, they got in. They're going to sell some tickets and merchandise. They're going to win big over Rhode Island, or bigly, as President Trump would say. And then the last one, we're going to go with Duke. Mike Krzyzewski, Grayson Allen, the senior, who seems like he's been there for 20 years, doesn't want to graduate. I think finally he has to leave at the end of this year. I think that's part of the rules. With eligibility with 4 years, Duke is going to crush Iona, a local team from New York City area. Duke will win easily in that game. And
going back to the East bracket for a second, did you have Virginia Tech or Alabama?
I actually have Alabama to win.
Okay. All right, so you and I wanted to double check on that one. So we have only disagreed 6 times in the round of 64 to get to the round of 32.
And well, as you said, we have not looked at each other. We briefly mentioned the bracket yesterday when we talked on the phone while you were traveling and everything to get to Dayton, Ohio. We have not looked at each other's brackets before this show live, so it's just kind of interesting how we're picking and how some of them are pretty similar with some of our picks.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm going to go down the line in my Midwest quick. I have Kansas winning over Penn. I know some people are saying, oh my God, the 16-seeded Penn could be the team to do it. I don't think that that's going to be the case. Kansas, I didn't want to give them a 1 seed with 7 losses, but they won the Big 12 tournament, and that's what did it for them. Seton Hall and NC State, we got 2 teams playing closely. Seton Hall, middle-of-the-road type of team. NC State, middle-of-the-road, but NC State with Kevin Keats in his first season has boosted this program. They got something to prove. They're going to win this game to face Kansas.
Kansas. Clemson over New Mexico State. I went back and forth with this one, but ultimately Clemson has something else to prove. I find it very interesting that NC State and Clemson put in the same bracket with Kevin Keatts and Brad Brownell, both being two big-time coaches that are doing some great things this year inside of the ACC that weren't expected to. Auburn over Charleston. I got Auburn in this game. They're a dangerous team out of the SEC. Might be one of the most dangerous teams in this tournament. I have Syracuse taking down Arizona State and then facing Jamie Dixon in a mass. I didn't know if they'd ever play Jamie Dixon again, but I felt like they would because, that's how the world works and that's how sports works especially. So TCU and Jamie Dixon will face off against Syracuse and Jim Boeheim. Syracuse will move on in this one and make things interesting. They'll face Michigan State after their win over Bucknell. Rhode Island will take out Oklahoma because Oklahoma shouldn't even be in, and Rhode Island needs to get some more respect. And if they haven't gotten your respect yet, you haven't been paying attention. Duke over Iona in this one. So, through the round of 64 into the round of 32, Ross and I have only disagreed with each other 7 times in 32 games, and that was twice in the South, twice in the West, twice in the East, and once in the Midwest. Ross, who makes it to your Sweet 16?
Sweet 16, we're going to have Virginia over Kansas State in the South bracket, so Virginia will go to the Sweet 16. We'll have Kentucky over Arizona, so Kentucky gets to the Sweet 16. We're going to have Loyola Chicago to continue their miracle Cinderella run. They're going to knock off the Tennessee Volunteers and get to the Sweet 16. I believe in that hot streak. Cincinnati's going to knock off Texas, who maybe shouldn't even be in this tournament. Cincinnati will get to the Sweet 16 out of the South bracket. Do you want me to go through?
Yeah, go ahead. Go through the whole thing. Yep.
All right, so then the West, we're going to go with Xavier to knock off Florida State to get the Sweet 16. We're going to go with Gonzaga to knock off the Big Ten powerhouse Ohio State. Gonzaga will get the Sweet 16. Michigan will crush San Diego State and get to the Final 16. We're going to go with North Carolina in a tough matchup, a defensive struggle. I think North Carolina will beat Providence to get to the Sweet 16. Then in the East, we're going to go with Villanova to knock off Alabama. They will get to the final 16 teams. We're going to go with Wichita State to knock off Murray State and their Cinderella story, and they will go to the final 16 as well. We're going to go with Florida to knock off Texas Tech. They get to the Sweet 16. Butler pulls off another big upset. I just believe in Butler in the storm pulling off upsets. They will beat Purdue, the Big Ten powerhouse. Butler gets the Sweet 16 as well out of the East. In the Midwest, we're going to go with Kansas to knock off NC State. They will get to the Sweet 16. Clemson knocks off Auburn. Even though Auburn's dangerous, Clemson will get to Sweet 16 as well. As much as I'd love, I'm going to be rooting for Syracuse. I hope this pick's wrong. I'm going to go with Michigan State. They're the physical play powerhouse team. Tom Izzo's Michigan State Spartans. They will knock off Syracuse Orange to get to the Sweet 16. And then finally, Duke Blue Devils. Mike Krzyzewski shuts down Trae Young and Oklahoma, who probably shouldn't even be in this tournament. Duke knocks off Oklahoma to get to the Sweet 16.
So that is Ross's side of the bracket in the drive, which is our drive through the NCAA Tournament March Madness. D for Dan, R for Ross inside of the drive as we give you our entire bracket release. You're the first people to hear our bracket release, and as soon as this show is done live, Ross and I will put our brackets online and let you look at them because we are men of our word, so what we say, that word is bond. Ross's Sweet 16 going up against my Sweet 16. Let's see what we got here, and let's see if we have some similarities. I'm going with Virginia to knock off Creighton to move on to their Sweet 16. I'm looking at Kentucky to knock off Buffalo to get there, Tennessee to knock off Loyola of Chicago, and Cincinnati to move forward as well in the South to make it to the Sweet 16. In the West, I'm going to have Xavier moving on as well as Gonzaga, Michigan, and North Carolina will move on in the Sweet 16. In the East, I'm going to go with this is a toss-up back and forth, but in the East and where they have to play in kind of their road to get there, I'm going to go with Villanova to get past Alabama. I'm going to go with Wichita State to move forward. I'm believing in the Bonnies. I'm going with St. Bonaventure to make it to the Sweet 16. I'm also going to have Purdue moving forward. Now, Purdue's usually that team that it seems like when they get put in that second seed type of situation, and I want to pick them, and it makes sense to pick them, they end up losing. But let's say that this year is the year to take off the years growing up where Purdue let me down. We'll see if it happens or not. I'm going with Kansas to take care of NC State. I'm looking at, this one's a tough one for me, Clemson and Auburn. Brad Brownell, man. This is the one that I sit and I look at, and even as we're unveiling our brackets, I go back and forth. But I'm going to go with Auburn in this one to pull off that opportunity. And then Syracuse going up against Michigan State. I got to give the nod to Tom Izzo. I know I got a lot of Syracuse fans that listen daily to the show, but you know that I'm an impartial broadcaster, and I got to tell you the truth. And I'm going to go with Duke over Rhode Island, even though I think Rhode Island might make that somewhat of a game, at least for part of the game. So let's take a look at...
And by the way, Dad, I'm going to give you a lot of credit because there's going to be a lot of Syracuse local people who would just be homers and cheer them on. I know you'll be rooting for them, so will I. They would pick them no matter what. You might get some hate mail, but I got to give you credit. You showed a lot of impartiality there, and you picked Michigan State. So it would be great to see Syracuse win. That's like I said, one of those picks I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see Syracuse make a deep run. And when they were last in this tournament a couple of years ago, they made it all the way to the Final Four, and you were there covering it. So, but I got to give you a lot of credit that you're sticking to your guns no matter what people will say locally in the Syracuse area.
Well, that's the thing is you got to tell the truth. And, I always find positives with this team, but it's funny. The year that I chose the team to go far in 2016, everybody thought I was insane, and then they went far. So, I tell the truth. I do my research, and I believe this team is good to win a couple. But outside of that, I think that Syracuse will bow out of the tournament to Tom Izzo, and that's just how I see it happening this year. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm going to cover it either way, but I got to tell you the truth, and I got to tell you where I believe it is, and that is my job as a broadcaster of 15 years and counting. So Ross and I, out of our Sweet 16, only disagreed 4 times. So a quarter of our Sweet 16. So we are still, even though, like Ross and I have said, we haven't seen each other's bracket, we're still on pace to have potentially the same Final Four. So I'm interested to know, Ross, who you have in the Elite Eight to see if we are going to be even closer to having our brackets that were a little bit different be the same at the end of it all.
Okay, Elite Eight in the South. We're going to go with Kentucky with all that talent from John Calipari, one and done guys. They're going to knock off Virginia, the first number 1 seed to get knocked out. They will knock off Virginia, so Kentucky gets to the Elite Eight. Loyola Chicago, they've been doing a great job throughout. I think their Cinderella story, though, is going to come to an end. I think Cincinnati knocks them off. Then in the West, I'm going to go with Gonzaga to knock off another number 1 seed. They're going to knock off Xavier. Gonzaga just plays great in this tournament. They're going to make a deep run once again. Then I'm going to go with Michigan. They're going to win. They're going to get to the. They're going to knock off North Carolina. Michigan gets to the Elite Eight and knocks off the defending champions of Roy Williams' North Carolina squad. Then in the East, we're going to go with Villanova. They're gonna win their thing. Let's see which one they're gonna go with here. Florida. Okay, so we got Florida, Butler. Okay, so Florida knocks off Butler, so Florida gets the Elite Eight. Villanova knocks off which state they get to the Elite Eight. Then in the Midwest, we're gonna go with Kansas. They'll knock off Clemson. They get to the Elite Eight. And then in a big-time showdown, I could go either way. You got Krzyzewski, Tom Izzo, 2 Hall of Fame coaches. I'm going to go with the Duke Blue Devils and Grayson Allen in his final year to knock off the Michigan State Spartans and get to the Elite Eight. So I got Duke, Kansas, I got Villanova, Florida, and then I have Kentucky, Cincinnati, Michigan, and Gonzaga in my Elite Eight.
Yeah, for my Elite Eight, when you go up to the South bracket, first and foremost, I'm taking number 1 and number 2, Virginia and Cincinnati. Virginia, I said it, well before I said it going into this and all that. I said, listen, Virginia is a team that is poised to win a national championship. I had a conversation with Devon Hall about it after they won the ACC tournament title when I was covering and interviewing him in the locker room in Brooklyn after they hoisted the trophy. Cincinnati, underrated, underappreciated, and guess what? They're going to be respected. American Athletic Conference continues to push the term of the Power Six with an advancement to the Elite Eight. And then in the West bracket, I'm going to go with Gonzaga to knock off Xavier as well. It's funny how both of these teams were teams that didn't get a lot of respect in the past. Xavier a little bit more before Gonzaga started to get it. And it's funny how they're going to face off against each other in a 1-4 matchup. And I got Gonzaga moving forward. And Gonzaga, you're going to want them to have a rematch with North Carolina. You're going to hope that they have a rematch with North Carolina. You're going to plead that they have a rematch with North Carolina. You're going to ask the basketball whatevers that they're going to, I won't call them basketball gods because I only believe in one God, but you're going to hope and you're going to hope and you're going to hope and you're going to pray and you're going to say, God, please give me Gonzaga, North Carolina. And God's going to say, they said God has 3 answers to your prayers. Yes,
yes, wait a little while, and I have something better planned. And what God has planned for this one is Gonzaga and Michigan facing off in the Elite Eight. Then in the East bracket, this is probably the toughest one for me to call. I'm going to go with Villanova in this one. This is very tough because Wichita State is a dangerous team. I'm going to go with Villanova, and I'm going to ride the high of this one, and I'm going to say that eventually Purdue is going to piss me off, and I think it's going to happen before they get to the Elite Eight. So I'm going to go with St. Bonaventure to advance, and then Kansas against Duke. So Ross, once again, you have for your Elite Eight, going down the line. Give me your Elite Eight one more time. Give everybody listening in your Elite Eight because we're very different on this one.
Yeah, I got Kentucky, Cincinnati. I got Gonzaga, Michigan, like you. I got Villanova and Florida, and then I have Kansas and Duke.
So we look at this and where we're lined up right now, and Ross and I have, well, no, most of them are the same right here. So we have all but two the same. He has Kentucky, I have Virginia. We both have Cincy, both have Gonzaga and Michigan coming out of the West bracket. We both have Nova. I have St. Bonnie's. He has Florida, which is hilarious because we both chose the team in the matchup of the round of 64 to come out of the bottom of the bracket in the East. So either one of us is going to be right if it comes out of that game. And then Kansas and Duke, we have exactly the same. Who's the Final Four?
Final Four, I'm going to have, let's go to the top of the bracket here. Final Four, we're going to have Kentucky knocking off Cincinnati. We're going to have Michigan knocking off Gonzaga. Then in the East, we're going to have Villanova knocking off Florida. And then it's a tough one, but I'm going to go with Duke to knock off number 1 Kansas. So my Final Four is Kentucky and Michigan, and Villanova and Duke.
All right. Well, I said very early on in the season that the two teams that are most poised to make it to the championship game, potentially win a championship, are Virginia and Villanova. Let's see if I picked them. In the South bracket, in the Elite Eight, I have Virginia advancing over Cincinnati to make it to the Final Four. Gonzaga facing off against Michigan. I'm going with Gonzaga to make it back to the Final Four as a 4 seed. They're going to pull a little Syracuse thing and say, throw us in the middle of the bracket, and we'll still find our path to prominence. And then Villanova will make it out of the East bracket to head back to the Final Four. And then we will have in the Midwest Kansas versus Duke, and Duke will eventually show Kansas why Kansas is not as prominent a team this year as they have been in past years, in my opinion. My Final Four is Virginia, Gonzaga, Villanova, and Duke. Who's going to the championship game, Ross, for your Final Four?
So with the Final Four, we got half of them together. We have Villanova and Duke going. Mine, Kentucky and Michigan, differ from your Virginia and Gonzaga. So we still got half the teams right with that, where we pick the same, and then other two not the same. Okay, so the championship game, I'm gonna go with Michigan. Big Ten team won the championship. They're red hot. They continue that. Michigan's gonna knock off Calipari's talented Kentucky Wildcat squad. Michigan goes to the title game, and then it's a tough one: Duke versus Villanova. Part of me wants to root for Villanova with the Philly, Pennsylvania backgrounds that I've been living for quite a while. But I'm going to say Krzyzewski, Grayson Allen, and Duke. Too much talent. They're going to knock off Jay Wright's Villanova squad. Too much firepower. Duke is going to get to the title game, so it's going to be Duke versus Michigan for all the marbles on April 2nd, the day after Easter.
How funny is this here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and our special, The Drive, DR, Dan and Ross. Ross Turetsky joining me live from Dayton, Ohio. We are here with the first four, and of course myself, Dan Tortora, unveiling our brackets for the first time ever. We have not seen each other's bracket, and when we go back and we look at what went on in the round of 64 advancing to the round of 32, Ross and I disagreed twice in the South, twice in the West, twice in the East, once in the Midwest, and our Sweet 16 was all the same except for 4. Our Elite 8 was all the same except for 2, but then in our Final Four, and what we had half of them the same, half of them different. So this is how crazy it is. We've been similar, a little bit less similar, a little bit less similar. And in our championship game, after having half of the Final Four correct, I have Virginia Villanova and Ross has Michigan Duke. So all the way through this bracket, we've been similar to one another. And in the championship game, we literally pick the opposite opportunities here. I have Virginia because and opposite opportunities in the sense of I have the South bracket winner defeating the West bracket. Ross has the West over the South to get into the Final Four, and I have the East over the Midwest. He has the Midwest over the East. So whoever we would have picked, I picked the South bracket and the East bracket. He picked the West and the Midwest. Ross has Michigan and Duke. I have Virginia and Villanova. The two teams that I said during the season have the best chance to rise to number one overall.
And buddy, you're sticking with all number one seeds. I'm going with a two versus 3 seed. So there's still high seeds, but that'll be interesting. Well, in my bracket, all the number one seeds get wiped out. It's like a Game of Thrones or Walking Dead episode. Everyone gets taken out of the number one seeds, all 4. You're going with 2 number one seeds in your title game. So that's another interesting aspect to see will number one seeds be left standing when this tournament comes to an end. You say yes, I say no. We'll find out pretty soon.
And the funny thing about it is I typically don't buy into the whole one seed thing. I just look at the teams, and so not even looking at where they are with Villanova and Virginia being 1 seeds, I look at the fact that I got to put my money where my mouth is, and I said that if I had to pick any 2 teams to win the national championship at the beginning of the season through the midpoint of the season to this point in the season, I would still say Virginia and Villanova with a slight edge to Virginia. What do you think about the national championship? You have Michigan and Duke. I have Virginia and Villanova. Who's going to win yours?
All right, this is a tough showdown here. I went back and forth because I really am high on Michigan this year. I think Michigan's a great team. They're red hot. I really think that with what they're doing for coming out of the Big Ten, playing so well, winning the championship again in that conference, I really would love to go with Michigan. It'd be pretty cool to see. Michigan has gone deep before. Remember back in the Fab 5 days with Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, and I think they were actually the team that lost to Louisville in 2013 with the vacated national championship, which they're not going to give to Michigan because they were the runner-up, but Louisville has to get that title stripped away now from 2013. I think that was the last time Michigan made the title game. But in the end, I'm going to go with Mike Krzyzewski and the Duke Blue Devils. Somebody said the New England Patriots winning the Super Bowl almost all the time, or at least get in there. I'm going to say Duke wins another national title, adds to Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K's legacy. Who knows how much longer he'll coach, but he's basically breaking all the wins records, and I think he's going to keep winning those national titles. Grayson Allen's going to go out as a national champion for the Duke Blue Devils in his senior year, and I think year number 25 of his college career, and I think Duke beats Michigan in a classic game. I'm going 68-64. It's going to go down to the final possessions, right to the end of the game. I'm going to win a squeaker. Duke's going to knock off Michigan to win the 2018 national title. Looking forward to it. I hope that I'm correct, and we're excited about it. And you get, like I said, a nice treat. April Fool's Day, April 1st is Easter Sunday. Very next day, you're going to get the national championship game, which I'm very pumped for. And it's not fake news, Mr. Trump or Mr. Dan. You're also going to get a home opener for New York Yankees baseball on Monday, April 2nd. So, as a Yankee fan and college basketball fan, it's going to be a great day, April 2nd for me.
It's all fake news. None of it's real. None of it ever happened. So, with my national championship game, Virginia and Villanova, like I said, put your money where your mouth is. I said that these are the 2 teams that if I had to pick any teams out of the 351 NCAA Division I men's basketball schools at the beginning of the year to win a national championship, it would be Virginia and Villanova. The 2 Vs fight off with one another. I told Devon Hall when I left the locker room of the ACC tournament title, I shook his hand and I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, now go win a championship, young man. And he said, yes. I said, go win a national championship. And he said, yes, sir. I believe Virginia is going to win a national championship. Villanova, the only reason why I say this is I feel like Villanova is more of a threat to lose in the sense of this bracket than Virginia is. So I'm going to pick Virginia in this game to win this game. And Virginia's going to have to score some points. They're going to have to pour it on. They're going to have to do some things. I'm going to say that Virginia wins this game 69-64, 69-64 over Villanova. Virginia, national champions over Villanova, 69-64. You know, I know Grayson Allen had that booty bump in the ACC tournament because his jam came on, but he's going to have to be jamming out to Virginia one more time, hoisting a national title. And this time hoisting a national title after an ACC regular season championship and an ACC tournament championship. Virginia will run the table, in my opinion. Virginia is going to be a 3-time champion this year. ACC regular season, ACC tournament, and national champion. Virginia, Tony Bennett, big challenge, new challenge, a team that he didn't know where they were going to go with 3 guys transferring out, London Parentes finishing up, and having to have new faces come in. And then you look at a team with Isaiah Wilkins, Ty Jerome, Nigel Johnson, as well as Devon Hall, and Amadi Ikpeze, everybody that's a part of this team that has been a part of this run, and Jack Salt, all the guys that have been on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora recently here, and you can go find them all on wakeupcalldt.com by clicking on the RSS feed, the Podbean app, as well as the iTunes store, and hear my one-on-one interviews with them. You can also go to the ACC basketball page on wakeupcalldt.com to hear all those interviews back. They don't have DeAndre Hunter. He played with 2 hurt wrists in the game that they won the ACC tournament finale. He will not be in this, so that is a slight hurt to this team. But Virginia's got everything that it takes to be frustrating and disciplined down the stretch, and they're going to frustrate one more team to win the national title. With Virginia and Villanova, they're going to make Villanova play outside of that 80-point type of game and win it up. Ross, we got a minute left on the clock. I want to thank you for being a part of the show. I want to thank my niece, my niche, Lorelei, for being amazing during this broadcast, and I want to thank you once again for joining me for the drive and giving your bracket that ironically was similar pretty much all the way through until we got to the nitty-gritty of the national championship.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. My baby Lulu, Princess Lorelei, she's 8 months old. She's great. She was able to be a real trooper here and I don't know if at times you probably heard little murmurs and little screams. I was feeding her a bottle. I was finishing up with her oatmeal while we were talking for her early lunch. So I was trying to do that without making too much noise for me or the baby. And then I was able to do that, put her in her little walker so she could enjoy that, her Batman mobile, where she drove around the living room while we did the sports show. She was driving 100 miles an hour. She's Bat Baby. She's the best Bat Baby there ever is. She loves doing that, so she was great throughout this. And thanks for having me on once again. It's a real honor to be with such a great broadcaster, a great friend, and even a better person. So you do a great job. Have fun covering the rest of this tournament. Have fun, and how it was kind of cool live on air to kind of discover where your mindset is going into the March Madness, into this tournament, and where mine was, and similarities, differences. And either way, I'm ready to go dancing. I'm ready to go start this tournament outright, and it was a fun start last night, and it should be better tonight. And then, of course, Thursday, tomorrow, 12 o'clock, got to get your brackets in. Whether we change your opinions or we bolstered your opinions even more, strengthened them, Thursday at noon, you got to have your bracket in. So we're pumped, and thanks for having me on once again on the drive. You're a great friend, and love doing it with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much, and so to my niche inside of the Batmobile, I hope that she drives safely today, and I hope that you all have a good drive through March Madness and the NCAA Tournament. This has been The Drive with Dan Tortora and Ross Turetsky here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. As always, buddy, thank you so much. And make sure that you take a picture of that bracket and send it over my way, and we'll get them set and ready to go. Ross's bracket and my bracket are inside the Tourney Challenge in Yahoo Pick'em. Go to the Wake Up Call group on the Yahoo Tourney Pick'em. You can check group 9345. You can also look for Wake Up Call, 3 separate words, Wake Up Call. And you can go to the main page and put Find a Group, and we are in the top 50. So you can look up Wake Up Call, top 50 of over 30,000 in the world with the Syracuse logo. So look up Wake Up Call with the Syracuse logo, click on that, or you can go to facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, Twitter @CallDT, and you can sign up there as well by following the link. Over 200 of you have signed up, and I want to thank you so much for making it our 3rd year in a row of over 200 people that have signed up for the Wake Up Call Bracket Challenge. Ross's bracket's in there, and so is mine. You know our brackets, and you will see our brackets online very shortly. Ross, as always, thanks for being a great friend, a brother, and as always, the only person that's going to go through March Madness with me the way that we do it. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, and take care, and go Syracuse.
All right, that coming from Ross Turetsky and baby Lorelei. Say hi to Abby, and I'll talk with you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care. That coming from Ross Turetsky one more time, Northeast Pennsylvania-based writer, sports writer, and I want to thank him for being a part of the show. When you go back and we look at where we stood up against one another once again in our brackets, how we kind of shook everything out here and where we were at, we disagreed on only 7 of the 32 teams that would advance out of the round of 64. We disagreed with 4 of the Sweet 16, 2 of the Elite 8, half of the Final 4, and then when we got to the national championship, he picked 2, I picked 2, and they were totally different. So we had neither one the same, as he has Michigan versus Duke, and I have Virginia versus Villanova, which is kind of what I set up earlier on in the season to be in the conversations that I've been having. So with that being said, this is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora live from Dayton, Ohio. Thank you so much for tuning into the broadcast. Make sure you follow on Twitter @CallDT, Instagram @WakeUpCall,
_DT, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, and Twitter at Call DT. If I said Wake Up Call DT on Twitter, it's at Call DT, CALLDT. Also on wakeupcalldt.com, we have our tourney central page on wakeupcalldt.com, and we also have our ACC basketball page, our Syracuse pages, and so much more. Make sure that you head there now to wakeupcalldt.com, subscribe, bookmark, and make it happen. And make sure you enter your bracket in the Wake Up Call Bracket Challenge on the Yahoo Tourney Pick'em, Group 9345. The name is Wake Up Call, and you can look for the Syracuse logo as well to sign up in our Wake Up Call Bracket Challenge. You have until noon Eastern Time, Thursday, March 15th, to have yourself signed up in our Wake Up Call Bracket Challenge on Yahoo and entered all your picks. It will green light you when you're all set with your picks. That's how you'll know you're done for good. So make sure you save your picks. Don't just make them. And get yourself ready to be in the Wake Up Call Bracket Challenge. Make sure that you don't hide your email and leave your email address out there, because I will need to know who the winner is by email so we can present to you your prize. Thank you once again for everybody here in Dayton, Ohio, and for the first four. Thank you to the NCAA, and I look forward to the opportunity of covering the upcoming first four games with number 11 Syracuse taking on number 11 Arizona State, and number 16 NC Central taking on number 16 Texas Southern. Ironically, Syracuse has taken on two of the teams in the three games outside of their game in the first four. So Texas Southern here in Dayton, Syracuse played them and beat them. St. Bonnies that took on UCLA here in Dayton, Syracuse played them and lost them in overtime, and then Syracuse has their game. So the only game that Syracuse didn't play anybody in was the Radford LIU Brooklyn game. So thank you to, it's just funny how the world works and how things just come about. So thank you to everybody that was on the show today. OCC women's basketball, head coach Mike Wheeler. I want to give him a special thank you for being on the show today. OCC Lazers women's basketball head coach Mike Wheeler, whose team is in the NJCAA D3 tournament to win a national championship, and will play hostos in a rematch game that they lost earlier on the season. I want to thank the Radford Highlanders, Devonnte Holland, Justin Cousin, and Travis Fields Jr. for being a part of the show, and the same Bonaventure Bonnies, Amadi Ikpeze, Matt Mobley, LaDarien Griffin, Courtney Stockard, Jaylen Adams, and head coach Mark Schmidt. I also want to thank Eric Devendorf, Syracuse Orange alum and current assistant strength coach. And as always, I want to thank one of my best friends and a brother to me, Ross Turetsky. This is Wake Up Call live from Dayton, Ohio. And you will find us always on wakeupcalldt.com, where you can get the downloadable archive on the RSS feed, the iTunes podcast, as well as the Podbean app. God bless. Be good to one another, and have a phenomenal March Madness.